So before we begin, I'd like to invite up the host of Kids Want to Know, Sincere Quiñones, up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sincere?
Go. And look toward the flag there. All right.
I can start?
Oh, let everyone get into position. All right, good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well,
thank you.
Good job. Good job.
And once again, Sincere Quiñones. So I'd like to thank our co-sponsors for this evening. Brooklyn Community Board 13, Eddie Mark, District Manager, and Chair Joanne Weiss. The 60th Precinct Community Council, Steve Froelich, President. The Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island, Executive Director Rabbi Moshe Weiner. And Operation Helping Our Own Develop with Director Derek Lateef Scott. And of course, our host this evening, the Coney Island YMCA, and its Executive Director, Sam Moore. Thank you, Mr. Moore. So before we hear from our council member, I'd like to invite up our special guest, Senator Diane Savino, to give us a brief greeting.
Thank you, Marco. Welcome, Mayor de Blasio. Welcome to Coney Island. And of course, to my great colleague in city government, Mark Traeger. Let's have another round of applause for Mark Traeger. So I'll be brief. You know, one of the benefits of being in the New York State Senate is Senate districts cross a lot of territory. So I've had the chance to do a few of these town halls with the mayor. My Senate district covers 7 city council districts. So this, I believe, is the 4th one that we're going to do together. But what you're going to find is that while many people across this city have a lot of common interests and concerns, Coney Island is special. It's special for a lot of reasons. It's mostly special because of the people who live here, the people who have stayed here, who have struggled with Coney Island before Sandy and post-Sandy. The businesses that took a chance on Coney Island before Sandy and stayed here post-Sandy. Coney Island, I'm sure as you know from Councilman Traeger, is not just about the amusement park. It is so much more than that. And so I hope that tonight, the people of Coney Island, many of whom have a lot of issues that they want city government to address, that they have the chance to be able to speak directly to the mayor of the city of New York about how we make Coney Island even more special. So welcome to Coney Island, Mayor de Blasio. We want to hear from you, and you want to hear from us. Thank you.
Once again, your state senator, Diane Savino. And now I'd like to bring up your council member and the host for this evening, Council Member Mark Traeger.
Thank you. I'm not sure if we heard you the first time. Thank you all. Thank you to the residents across our entire district, across Southern Brooklyn, for coming out here this evening. I truly, truly appreciate it. I know that we're competing against the Temptations at the amphitheater tonight. But the folks still came out here tonight. So give yourselves a round of applause for being out here. And I want to thank, we literally, one of the things that I'd like to do is to bring government directly to our community. We've held public hearings. We've had a number of multi-agency meetings. But we literally have the entire city government here, and we have the mayor of the city of New York here, Bill de Blasio. Now, I just want to say a few words about this. For those of you who know me, you know that I speak very passionately. I speak from the heart. Yes, that's the only way I know how. So I always keep it real. But let me say this. This is an interesting week because there are some significant and some rare occurrences this week, beginning with Monday's solar eclipse. And today, Mark Traeger and Bill de Blasio co-hosting a town hall meeting together. And you don't need any solar glasses for this event. Now, tonight is about you. Tonight's about listening to your concerns, your issues, addressing your needs. But I want to just begin by saying, look, there are some areas that I know that we still have a lot of work to do. Areas in housing, areas in transportation, in the recovery from the worst storm in our history. And we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. But I also want to give credit where it's due. I want to give credit to the mayor and his administration, beginning with the fact that New York City is at record low when it comes to crime. That is a big accomplishment and achievement. That is the big accomplishment and achievement of the mayor of the city of New York, his police commissioner, the police department, and as well as the wonderful cure violence workers who do work every single day as well. I also want to note, as we talk about the recovery from the worst storm in our history, the administration made a commitment, which they've kept. You know, in addition to housing, libraries, infrastructure, all of our schools here in District 21 here in Coney Island still had temporary boilers when the mayor and I both took office together. And they committed that they would remove all of those temporary boilers so our children and our staff can learn in a good learning environment. They have kept their word. All of the schools in Coney Island, they have removed the temporary boilers. That was also worthy of announcement and accomplishment. I also want to note with the mayor that your wife is very popular. Yes, he knows.
I feel the same way about it.
Yes. I want to publicly say thank you to you and your wife for tackling an issue that for too long many considered taboo to talk about, was under the radar, the issue of mental health. And I even remembered the hotline to Thrive NYC, 1-888-NYC-WELL. That's to the credit of the First Lady of New York City, who has taken such initiative to address head-on the issue of mental health. That is a significant issue in the city and across our country. And I want to credit their First Lady for doing that. Yes, she deserves a round of applause. And as a former public school teacher, as someone who deeply cares about education, it feels good to have a mayor that values public schools. Am I right? That was not always the case. So the last thing before we hear from Mayor de Blasio is that when he visited Staten Island, the Staten Island Borough President presented him with some cannolis, claiming that Staten Island had the best cannolis in New York City. When he visited the Bronx, he went to a couple of spots by Arthur Avenue, and they said, yeah, we have the best cannolis. When he went into other part of Brooklyn, by Councilman Reynoso's district, he went to another spot, and they said, yeah, they have the best cannolis. But if you're from southern Brooklyn, one of the best, if not the best, cannoli spots are at Villa Bate on 18th Avenue. So, Mr. Mayor, welcome to southern Brooklyn, the home of the best cannolis in New York City. He's not going to.
I just want to show it's real.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you someone who I believe has one of the toughest jobs, not just in New York, but across the country. But all throughout his tenure, say what you want, but he has stayed true to his principles of building a more fair and more just city. I present to you the mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio.
Thank you. My friends, I have a question this evening. When will these cannoli wars stop? Everywhere I go, people claiming to be the best. It's becoming a real challenge, let me tell you. Actually, it dawned on me, I was listening to what Mark was saying. I figured out I've really come up with a great scam here. I go around New York City saying someone else said they had the best cannoli and I get free cannoli in the deal. So that's pretty good. I want to thank Mark Traeger. I'm going to talk about all the things that he's been doing for this community from the perspective I have in City Hall, and you're going to like what you hear. But I first want to thank everyone in this room tonight, because the point about people choosing to be here, it's a beautiful summer night. You said the Temptations are at the amphitheater. Temptations at the amphitheater, Cyclones are playing. There's a lot of wonderful things you could do. If you are here, it means you care deeply about the community. It means you want to make a difference. It means you care enough to hold us accountable and to fight for the changes you believe in. So I would ask you, please, everyone applaud together, because this is a great example of democracy tonight. I want to thank, well, first I want to thank, you know when you meet someone and you realize later on you wish you had gotten their autograph early? So Sincere Quiñones, get his autograph now, he's on his way. No, you do not get the cannoli. I'm keeping the cannoli. You can have one cannoli, how's that? That was very entrepreneurial of him to immediately make a play for the cannoli there. I want to thank Senator Diane Savino. I've known Diane a long, long time. When Diane believes in something, she fights for it, tooth and nail. She's been up there in Albany defending the interests of New York City. That is not easy to do. And I particularly appreciate about Diane Savino that her history before she was an elected official was serving kids in need and protecting some of the most vulnerable children in New York City, and she still fights for them as state senator. Let's thank her for all she does. We have an old friend here who I want to thank and commend, former Councilmember Mike Nelson. Thank you so much for being here. I want to acknowledge and thank all of the leaders of my administration who are here this evening. At first, a special thank you, and you heard what extraordinary things they've done. Let's thank all of the leadership of the NYPD that is here tonight. They have so much to be proud of. And then I tell people now, I've done over 30 town hall meetings in neighborhoods all over New York City. I tell people every time, this part, in a few minutes, we're going to start opening it up. You're going to raise your concerns, your questions, and we'll be here for quite a while. But at the end of the meeting, if anything that you care about has not yet been addressed or you want to go farther into the topic, here are the heads of a lot of the most important city agencies right here. The people who have a huge impact on the quality of life in this community and who do so much for this city, they're all sitting here. They will be here throughout the meeting. They'll be here after the meeting. You should come up to them and recognize you have a second bite at the apple to come up and raise any concerns to them. These are very effective, very concerned public servants. First of all, give them a round of applause for all they do. Now, I will tell you in advance, this meeting will easily get to 10 o'clock, so it'll be after 10, and you'll say to yourself, well, should I bother these hardworking people that late at night? And my answer is yes, you should. You can feel free to. They are so dedicated to their work, they will be here all night if you want them to. So come up afterwards and see them. Now, I want to say something about your council member. So Mark Traeger is very focused when he cares about an issue, and a very obvious example is he has fought so hard for people, not just from his district, but from all over the city, who felt the pain of Hurricane Sandy, who were displaced, whose lives were set back in so many ways. Mark made it his business to fight for every single one of them. He became an expert on the issues. He's the head of the committee and the council. And when he thought something could be better, he held our feet to the fire. But you knew he not only was sincere about it, he knew his facts. He did his homework. He worked hard. And I'll tell you, it's taken a long time, and I know we'll talk about it tonight. But one of the reasons this effort to help people recover from Sandy got better over time. It was never perfect, to say the least. There's still a lot of people who need help, but it got better over time. And one of the reasons was the leadership of Councilmember Mark Traeger. Let's thank him for all he has done. I want to say a few other things before we open up to the questions. And I'll say now, and I know as our moderator, Councilmember Traeger, will say again, we're going to ask people to keep it to one question or concern per person so we can get to as many people as possible. There's a lot of people who want to raise concerns tonight, so one per person is the fair thing, and we're going to keep going around and around the room to make sure we hear from every part of the hall tonight. So to pick up on what Diane Savino said, yeah, Coney Island is, if you know Coney Island, I've had the honor of working with people in Coney Island for many, many years. This is a community that is tough and resilient. And by the way, well before Sandy, Coney Island and a lot of other communities in southern Brooklyn bore the brunt of a lot of challenges, economic challenges, and a lack of attention from City Hall, and a lot of problems that went on for many, many years. And then Sandy amplified that. And what I always remind people is when Sandy hit, in many ways, it hit in a very devilish manner, hitting communities that had often been left behind too many times. Not just Coney Island, but Red Hook and the Rockaways, and a lot of communities that have been hurting for a lot of reasons. I know how much we still have to do. But I also know that people in this community are incredibly strong and stood and fought through whatever was thrown at them. So I will tell you, as much as anyone I meet who's not from New York City, I tell them they should see the part of Coney Island that's famous. But I honor the part of Coney Island that's the everyday people who are so strong and so resilient. That's what it's really about. We're going to talk about a lot of topics tonight. At town hall meeting, you can bring up any topic. I want to just tell you a few things that I hope, if you don't know, that you will appreciate hearing tonight about what's happening in this city and in this community. I want to be very quick, but some of it's actually good news. And I always say, if there's good news, you will not find it that easily in the newspapers or on TV. But we need to share some good news too. In terms of the big picture in this city, thanks to all the people you heard about before, community residents, folks in the Cure Violence movement, the leadership of our police, the men and women of the NYPD, we are now the safest big city in America. Think about that. I think a lot of you have been around for a while. We are the safest big city in America. We're getting safer all the time. That's an amazing thing. We have an economy that's stronger than ever, more jobs literally than we've ever had in our history, and more it is a 5-borough economy. Once upon a time, when you heard there were more jobs, that meant only in Manhattan. Now it means in Brooklyn, it means in Queens, it means in the Bronx, it means in Staten Island, an actual 5-borough economy. We have the highest graduation rate in our schools in the history of New York City. The highest graduation rate ever. And just this week, the state of New York published test scores for our students, and it is now 4 years in a row that the test scores of New York City public school students have gone up. 4 years in a row. And again, a lot of people in this room deserve credit. Teachers and people who work in schools, but also parents who help their kids to stay focused on their homework, make sure their kids are reading. The credit goes to a lot of people, but the credit also is so powerful because this change is consistent, it's positive and consistent. Now, we know at the same time we've got a lot to do. Anytime I tell people good news, it does not for a moment stop me from recognizing how much more we have to do. So we know we have to keep investing in communities that need it. Let's start right here. Not just as a result of Sandy, but especially because of Sandy, we have made a commitment of $2 billion in resiliency measures for Coney Island and surrounding areas. $2 billion is being invested to make these communities safer and more resilient. I want to let you know, as someone who I don't have the blessing of living in the community, but again, I've spent a lot of time here. I know that one of the crown jewels of this community is the boardwalk. It is legendary all over the world, and for good reason. So there's two things we're going to do going forward. First, I have asked the Landmarks Preservation Commission to determine the best way to create a landmark status for the Coney Island Boardwalk, because it deserves it. And I am directing my administration to make additional measures for resiliency to protect this community. And as we figure out how to protect the boardwalk for the long haul, we have an opportunity to add resiliency measures on top of the $2 billion we're already spending, because I don't want to ever see a Sandy hurt this community again. Those are some examples. We know we have to keep investing in a lot of things. I really appreciate that Councilmember Traeger made the point that if we're going to help improve the lives of people in this community and all over this city, it's not just making sure people are safe, as our police do so well. It's not just investing in the physical things to keep us safe. It's also about mental health. And I want to really thank him for acknowledging the hard work of my wife, Charlene McCray. Let me tell you that number again, because he mentioned something that's really different in the city. We now have a single phone number anyone can call on behalf of themselves or a loved one, by the way, for any kind of problem. God forbid someone in your life is having a problem with opioids, and we all know how horrible this opioid crisis has been. If someone needs help, they can call this number. If someone has a mental health problem of any kind, they can call this number. If someone's just experiencing depression or anxiety, they can call this number. It's 1-888-NYC-WELL. I want you to repeat it with me. 1-888-NYC-WELL. Please keep it in mind and please pass it along, because it literally can be a lifesaver for people. That's another kind of investment we make. And there's a different one also I want to talk about. And I want to put this in the category of something that a lot of New Yorkers said could not be done. I think as New Yorkers, sometimes we're a little skeptical, sometimes we're a little cynical. So 3 years ago, I started talking about Vision Zero. And I said we had to reduce the number of people we were losing to traffic accidents. So many senior citizens, so many children, so many people are being killed, so many people are being maimed because of traffic accidents that didn't have to happen. We've instituted Vision Zero in every community. And we've had now the lowest number of traffic fatalities in over 100 years because of Vision Zero. I want to give you an example. Avenue T, there's a particular site where there was a fatality on July 23rd. Here's what's different today, and then that's a tragedy that happened. But what's different today is the NYPD responds in a way that's much more aggressive than ever before. At that location, since that incident and the surrounding blocks, the NYPD has since that day issued 105 summonses for speeding to people in that area to send a message. The NYPD will not tolerate people putting other people's lives in danger by speeding. We're going to be improving lighting and signals and a whole host of other things as part of Vision Zero. And we're going to work closely with the council member, NYPD, DOT, all agencies working together to make the streets safer. Finally, just want to talk about the issue that I know it's the first concern of Councilmember Traeger because he spent years and years teaching our young people in our public schools. And let's thank him for having done that before he even ran for office. My number one concern is the education of our children. And that's been what I have felt since the day my daughter Kiara was born in 1994. Changed my whole world, and the thing I then focused on ever after that first was education. Councilmember Traeger has had many passions when it comes to education, but one of the things he's been talking about the most is our kids are not going to be able to learn well enough if they're in a classroom that's hot and uncomfortable and they can't even focus on their studies. So I want to tell him he gets honorable mention because he pushed us. But I knew too as a parent, because I was a public school parent too, that this was long overdue. So in the last budget in June, working with the City Council, we committed to making sure that literally every classroom in New York City that does not have air conditioning will now get air conditioning for our kids and for our teachers. And finally, last thing I want to tell you, and it is about this council district specifically. And this is something to be proud of. This council district has seen a constant increase in the graduation rate. Your graduation rate is even higher now than for the city of New York, so congratulations for that. Right. Since 4 years ago, we started the pre-K initiative. The number of kids in full-day pre-K in this council district has tripled in the last 4 years. And finally, I know there's a lot of people concerned about schools and crowding in schools and the need for new school spaces. We'll get to talk about it in detail, but I can tell you already in the budgets we've committed to 900 more school seats for this council district. 900 more seats in schools coming to relieve that overcrowding. So look, I'll end where I began. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for how much you care. Thank you for the ideas you're going to offer and the concerns you're going to offer tonight. I look forward to hearing from the people of this great community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And as the mayor noted, in the interest of your time, everyone's time, when folks have a question, let's get right to the question, one question per person, because we want to make sure that we hear from as many people as possible before it turns midnight very quickly here in the community. So we will now open up the floor. I will call on folks. There will be someone that will come by you with a microphone to make sure that your question is heard. Don't be shy here.
Time to raise hands, everybody.
Okay. I'm used to this. Yes, we're going to go to every side, but we'll begin right here. Daniel?
Hi, thank you for taking the time to visit Coney Island Mayor de Blasio and everybody who made this possible. I'll keep this question simple. Will you initiate a new Coney Island ferry feasibility study? If so, when?
Thank you. Okay, so the question is about the citywide ferry service, which we have started. By the way, this is something we haven't had in the city in decades and decades. We have a line now going from the Rockaways. We have another line that is starting in Astoria, Queens. The question is whether we should have one in Coney Island. Here is my answer. We're going to get to, by the beginning of next year, 2018, the last of the current lines, which gets to Soundview in the Bronx, will be initiated. After that, as we get into the spring and summer of 2018, we're going to start the process of assessing how the first year of service has gone. If the first year of service is strong, and so far it has been very strong, the ridership levels have been beyond anything we anticipated, then we will start the process of looking at Coney Island in addition to parts of Staten Island, in addition to additional parts of Queens. There's a number of places that have asked for consideration. So the answer is, if ridership is strong, and so far that appears to be the case, We will then start formal assessment in 2018 of additional routes.
All right. Coney Island is on the map. I'm going to go to every side, so I'm going to just the issue of fairness. Yes, ma'am.
I live in Coney Island all my life, and I want to know, when are you going to put more jobs back out here for the community? Not for people that's coming from downtown Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Jersey. For the people in Coney Island. We want Coney Island back.
Thank you. Well, I will start, and then Greg Bishop, our Commissioner for Small Business Services, is going to join me. Look, I said earlier that we not only have more jobs than ever in the history of the city, and most of those are small business jobs, but they are now being built up all over the 5 boroughs. Coney Island has tremendous potential in terms of a place to build more jobs, but I hear you loud and clear. You want jobs for every kind of person. So what we see is more and more economic activity here. The way we try and connect people to jobs, we have a couple of different routes. One we focus on particularly for public housing residents, and we can talk about this evening. But for any resident of the community, we have here in the community a place people can go to get connected to jobs, and there's real jobs available to be connected to. So Commissioner Bishop, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Bishop, Commissioner of Small Business Services. We run all the Workforce One centers across the city. We have one here in Coney Island. The center is actually focused on connecting Coney Island residents to industries that are fast growing or have a decent wage. So we had a lot of success with connecting Coney Island residents to pre-apprenticeship programs to actually get them working in unions. But we also have training in technology, in healthcare, and so on and so on. So I could actually connect with you after for anyone else who's interested in actually learning about how we can connect them to jobs.
But I want you to explain to people so they can understand. If someone's looking for a job, just explain what happens when you walk in the door. If there's anything you have to do, if you have to pay for anything, just explain it so people get it.
So the service is free, and what we do is we work with businesses not only in Coney Island, but all across the city. And we want to make sure that we connect the Coney Island residents to a job that actually is the best fit. So we sit down with you, we look at your qualifications, and we either connect you to training, or we help you with your resume, or we connect you directly to an employer. So it's a full service, it's totally free, and certainly we are focused on quality jobs. So we're looking at jobs that are paying above the minimum wage, that are paying a living wage, and jobs that could actually get you into a career.
Yes, and I'll just quickly add one last thing, that we didn't initially have the Workforce One Center. We had to work to get it. And I do want to also acknowledge the assistance of Director Amy Peterson from Build It Back that was also instrumental in getting us that center. That center has also given us some data that we're using to address some issues in our community. Some folks walked in for employment that were lacking certain skills or certain education credentials that we're now working to address to provide free high school equivalency classes in our community. So I'd love to follow up with you as well. Thank you.
And can we also remind everyone what the address of that center is?
It's right across the street from the Coney Island Library by Mermaid and West 20th Street. 19, Lakeisha Bowers would know. Lakeisha. 1906 Mermaid Avenue. There you go. Excellent. Yes, so this side, Mr. Barone. Mr. Barone, I think, is a southern, no, every side's going to come.
Going all around, constantly.
Yes. Mr. Barone, you have something you want to present to the mayor?
I would like to present this to the mayor on behalf of the New York Cosmos. But before presenting that, thank you for putting together this town hall meeting. I was instrumental in moving the New York Cosmos here to Brooklyn, as I'm a Brooklyn resident. I live right here in South Brooklyn, and Coney Island's been a very special place in my heart. So I'd like to thank the Alliance for Coney Island and the local businesses, and more important, the people of Coney Island for accepting us so far here in Coney Island.
Great, man.
And Mayor de Blasio, we've spoken to you, EDC, about keeping the New York Cosmos here in Coney Island and in South Brooklyn. We would further like to speak to you about our plans. And I'd like to present you this jersey.
Please.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
It's almost as good as cannoli. Here, I have to see this here.
Leave the jersey, take the cannoli.
Yeah, that was very good. Very good.
You got the reference.
What an honor. Thank you, brother. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. That's fancy. Okay, here, hold it up there. Got it? Thank
We got the
you.
back here.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Since there was really not a question, I think the lady here had a question right over here. Go ahead, yes.
There's a question for both. For Triga, the last meeting I came to, I brought up about the work that's being done due to Sandy. My question is, why is so much money being put into fixing the outside of the neighborhood to lure people to move in? Meanwhile, our apartments are broken down. Nobody has come to my house. I said it the last time, y'all reached out to me. I got one message from one of the offices if I was okay with the news channel coming to my house. I said no, nobody came to do nothing. It's 2 months later, my walls are still cracked. I was waiting for a paint job, it's still not done. There's yellow and orange water coming out of our pipes.
So
we can't walk out in the nighttime because there's no lighting. Where's our safety? What about the tenants that live here? Y'all worrying about bringing more tenants in, but the tenants that live here are suffering.
Hold on.
They're suffering still.
Where do you live? Where do you live? Hold on.
Across the street in Coney Island. They all have my address.
I don't have your address. I'm here.
Asking for it. They got it.
What's your name? What's your name?
Paris, Miss Coney Island.
Oh,
Nobody
what's
has
your
come
name?
to my door. Miss Luz Lozada.
Would you like help from me?
I would like help from anybody who's going to
Okay.
take it serious
So-
without needing photo ops. I don't want photo op moments. I want real jobs being
Do you
done.
want to be helped? If you want to be helped, you got to
Yes,
tell me
it's gonna
something.
be
What kind
real
of
work.
building do you live in?
In the New York City housing, the lovely houses that y'all want to fix up
Okay.
the outside
Which-
to make them condos, but the insides
Which
are
one?
garbage.
Which one? Which one? Okay, I want to help you, but you got to talk to me if you want help.
NYCHA, New York City
Which
housing,
one?
Coney Island
Which one?
houses, Coney Island houses.
Coney Island Houses. Okay, we have the general manager of NYCHA here.
I had
Okay. Look, well, I look forward to. Where's Brian? Staff?
I have the attendance number. I done had everybody
Yeah.
in their motherfucking house.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll follow up with this, but we'll find out
Okay.
the department and find out what needs to be done.
Michael Kelly is going to follow up with you directly.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Watkins, you had a question? All right.
Mr. the Mayor, Mr.
Yes,
de Blasio.
hey, everybody, please listen to what she's saying.
I am a native of Brooklyn, born and raised in Brooklyn. My issue is whatever happened to the Fair Housing Act from 1968-69. Local people in this community has been manipulated, and they need access and opportunity to have fair housing. We going backwards from going backwards to the civil rights movement. Up and down Coney Island, especially in the senior buildings, and I brought this up before. You never see where it's only one race of people living in some of these buildings. When I look at this, I feel like crying because this is going backwards instead of forwards. We don't want to be under the umbrella like number 45, if you know who I'm talking about. We want to go ahead of that.
Amen.
So housing, HPD, NYCHA, they need to get it together. Because I see things that I never...
Okay. Can you help me by giving me an example of some place where you see a problem?
Okay, on 29th Street in the boardwalk, right across from Coney Island houses. When that building was being built, it was supposed to be for everybody. And it's a senior building, but it's Russian people living in it, seniors. And then it's another building on 37th Street outside Seagate. There's not too many other races living in these buildings. And it could have been, when I moved out here in 69, it was the opposite. This is supposed to be the United States of America. Everybody's supposed to have a fair chance during this day and time, and this is why we got a lot of crime and stuff.
Okay. Listen, I want us to follow up, but here's, you and I believe in the same thing. All the folks who have applied, for example, for public housing in NYCHA, there's a wait list, there's a lottery. We do not allow discrimination based on any background. In terms of our affordable housing programs, There's a lottery. It's all supposed to be based on first come, first served lottery kind of system. So I want to know more about those specifics, and I want our folks to follow up with you. But I hear your concern, but I want you to know we are committed to making sure that discrimination does not happen, because I do not want to see that in any building. It may have happened in the past, but I'm saying just as a matter of what we believe in this administration, we don't allow discrimination in public housing or anything that we create as affordable housing. Mitchell-Lama Co-op, I want to be honest with you, is run by the state of New York, not the city. But public housing, NYCHA is run by us. The affordable housing that we create under the city's HPD programs run by us. We do not allow discrimination in those. So if there's specifics, I'm going to have folks from HPD come to you right now, and if there's specific examples, we will follow up on them. Thank you.
Yes. I also just want to note, I see Sam Moore, forgive us. Let's give a big thanks to the YMCA for allowing us to have the town hall here as well. Thank you, Sam. Big thanks to Sam Moore, their director. Yes, you were very patient. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Annette Fisher, and I'm a member of the Coney Island Beautification and a resident of Seagate. I've lived in this neighborhood since 1980. I've paid flood insurance since 1990. I went to put in my flood claim, and I was told that it wasn't going to be covered because I have a house that's 30 inches below grade. It's a legal 3-family house. I hired a public adjuster. I hired a lawyer. We sued. We won. In the midst of it all, Build It Back comes along. First off, we got letters from the city, not saying we have help for you, but saying, hey, you better fix your house or you're going to be in violation because it's a 3-family house. So I do whatever I can. I stop working. I'm literally cutting 2x4s to put the place back together with some other people because you couldn't find a contractor at a price you could pay. 6 months later, everything is done. I'm back in my house. Build It Back comes along and says, we're going to either raise your house
Build It Back,
or we're going to add another floor and we're going to gut the basement. Now, Mr. Traeger, you know, Ms. Savino knows, Senator Savino. I spoke to several of you, including Pamela Harris. You all contacted Build It Back. They have done nothing. You guys have cost me $50,000 in lost rents because you made me move out and you made my tenants move out, one of them 2 years ago, one of them a year ago. I'm now moving back on Monday because I told Build It Back, I don't need you aggravating my life anymore. I am done. My wife has had 2 heart episodes. I'm sick and tired of watching my neighbors get sick. You have not managed this program whatsoever. I have contacted, I put in an appeal. You all ignore my appeal. Then you have somebody from your counseling department call up because you're going to give me advice that our flood insurance is going to cost us, folks, wake up, $5,000 a year for flood insurance, and your property insurance will go up too because they're not going to want to insure in this neighborhood. It's a big problem, Mr. Mayor, and you have not managed this program, and I want you to wake up, and I want you to get all the people who have stolen time from this city to work for 5 years to accomplish nothing and to cause me to lose a lot of money. I'm sick of it.
Listen, I respect that something obviously did not go right with you, and I'm apologizing for that, but I disagree entirely with your assessment that for thousands of other people, they didn't end up back in their homes, because there are thousands and thousands of other people ended back in their homes. So you had a bad experience. I wish you didn't, but that does not denigrate the hard work of a lot of people who did get people back in their homes and those families who it did work for. I want to see what we can do to fix your situation.
Actually,
Lou Mendez is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for Build It Back. What can you say to this?
So, Ms. Fisher, why don't you come and see me after, and then we can try to solve your problem, okay? I mean, after the meeting, we have a table outside, and let's talk. We're going to try to solve your problem. Let's not be so negative. Let's solve the problem.
Okay, but you will deal with this directly.
Yes.
So he's the Chief Operating Officer of Build It Back. He's going to work with you directly to see if there's something we can do to fix this.
All right.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good. We're going to go to all sides. We're going to come back to this side. So one person spoke from here. Yes, ma'am. And then next go around.
Hello, Mayor de Blasio and Traeger.
Just close to your mouth.
Councilman Traeger. My name is Veronica. I live on the same block as the last lady that spoke here. I've been a victim of Hurricane Sandy. I've been out of my home for 18 months now. Still not back yet. As I stand here tonight when I left my job.
Closer.
When I left my job, I was walking down this block. I parked on another block because I'm staying here with someone else at this time because I'm not back in my home. And as I walk down the block, one of the guys that work along with your organization said to me, "Hey, boxes." I said, "Yes, it's boxes." I said, "Because I'm trying to get back to my home." I said, "But I will be here to this town hall meeting tonight because I want to find out what exactly is going on."
Mm-hmm.
My issue is, and I also went to the last town hall meeting, I spoke with Traeger, I spoke with several other people there to find out what I can do to get back home.
Okay.
I live on West 36th Street.
Okay, so, and
I'm
what?
still out of my home.
You're out of your home. It's part of Build It Back, yes?
Yes, part of
Okay.
Build It Back.
I'm sorry, what is your last name?
Palmer, Palmer. My
Palmer.
first name is Veronica.
All right, so we're building the West 36 homes. I'd like to
Is
speak to
this
you.
on? Let's make sure. Okay, just project.
And I'd like to give you a schedule. I mean, let's talk after.
Wait, but let's
You know what?
clarify
I
that.
don't even know if I really didn't know if I want to even be here tonight.
No,
Okay, wait, wait.
just
I've been
trust
to
me.
several town hall meetings, and only because it's right here that I'm here because.
But here's why I wanna make sure
I was
we're
told
clear.
I wasn't eligible for the program, being that my neighbor was not eligible. Okay, so with that being said, and it really goes through me to talk about this tonight because I've been dealing with it
Right.
for 18
know,
months
but
now.
we also
okay?
gotta-
I have taken 2 loans out for $81,000, which I can retire, or I thought I could, and get a pension, a normal pension, but now I can't even retire because I have to pay back
Okay,
loans.
listen. He's going to
Okay,
follow up with you directly, but my question is, are you in Build It Back now or not? I'm still
I'm in
confused.
Build It Back.
You're in
I'm
Build
in
It
the
Back.
process of being Build It Back.
Okay.
But I was told,
He's one of the people who runs it. He's going to come see you
Yeah,
to try and fix
but
the
I have
problem.
to let this out. You can't fix the problem right now because I was
Okay,
told that.
let him see what he can do to
because
fix
my
it.
neighbor is
Ma'am.
not eligible. I cannot.
Don't. It's no.
wanna
I was
touch home?
told.
Elevated.
He's
You wanna
one of the
touch home?
people who
So
runs it.
now I'm told that I'll be back in my home
Okay.
in September.
Folks, I just want to just know
Can I speak to you after?
one very quick thing. Please, let me say this. For those of you who know me, I have not been shy in my critiques of Build It Back. Okay? Now,
You hear Build It Back.
but we do have to acknowledge a very important truth. That we lost precious time in the beginning of the program under the previous mayor that had an entirely different setup that was flawed and broken. And so literally this administration, and again, they have a lot of work to do. Hearing tonight, and I hear it every day. But we have to understand that we lost precious time and they had to create a new structure on the fly. So each of your concerns will be addressed by high-level Build It Back people here today, and they know that my office, in addition to the mayor of New York who's here, will be following up on these cases.
Now, let me add.
Yes.
Let me add. Everyone, I want you to listen to this. I have done over 30 town hall meetings in neighborhoods all over the city. When I say I want to help you, or one of my top officials wants to help you and is standing in front of you, you either came here for help or you didn't. So if you actually came here for help, you want to meet with the person who has the power to help you, okay? So I understand the frustration. The frustration is real. The frustration is deep. A whole lot of mistakes were made. None of us asked for Hurricane Sandy to begin with, and then a huge number of mistakes were made. But if you are here, these people who are sitting here are the people who run the city government, and they are the best chances to fix your problem. So if you're here, I assume you want to fix your problem. If you don't want to fix your problem, don't talk to them. If you do want to fix your problem, you want to talk to these people.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, in interest of time, let's get right to the question. Yes. She had a card. No? Okay. Yes, sir. Microphone. Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Sir.
Okay. I have one question. I live out here for 41 years. The elderly people are being left off on the bus on 37th Street and Surf Avenue. It's very unfair that the bus driver kicked them off the bus so they have to wait. That is not computing the bus route. When you call transit, they say enough people is not complaining. I don't take the bus anymore. But when I hear, I live in Sandburg, when I hear the elderly people say they got to walk from 37th Street to Bayview and Canal, that is unfair. The bus driver should shoot down right down Mermaid Avenue or Neptune Avenue. And I think it's time it stopped. It's over 40 years now, they're doing the same thing.
So we have a number of issues with the MTA in our district, beginning with the fact that it takes over 40, 45 minutes, even more, to take the B36 from Surf Avenue in the West End to get to Stillwell in the trains. Am I right? And so we have a laundry list of issues with the MTA to deal with. The city does not control the MTA. However, we will definitely report back those issues to the MTA.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I will not give the MTA a dollar of the city money because you don't have a seat on the table.
I like the way you
the
think.
governor, he have all the seat.
Yeah.
Let him give them all the money.
Well, let me affirm your point, and I thank you for it. Okay, so this is something, let's start at the beginning, and we have our Transportation Commissioner, Polly Trottenberg, who's going to speak to this too, but I want to just take a poll of the room. How many people believe the city runs the subway and buses? How many people believe the city of New York runs the subway and buses? How many believe the state of New York runs the subways and buses? Okay, this crowd gets an A for knowing the truth. Now, we all are very frustrated with the subways and the buses because we do not feel they are responding to our needs here in this city. If you think about the things we run the police, we run the schools, the parks, sanitation. When you have a problem with any of them, you come right to your council member, to your mayor, we have to fix the problem. It's not a good thing that we're dealing with this problem with the MTA and they're not responding in general. And your point is very well taken. I said I'm not going to give more city money to the MTA when they're not responding to our needs, and also they took a lot of money, the state took a lot of money that was meant for the MTA, $456 million, and took it away. So I agree with you 100%, we're not going to give away money with the way things are now. That being said, we do fight for every neighborhood at the MTA meetings. One of my representatives to that board is Polly Trottenberg. Again, we don't have the power on that board, but we have a voice. So Polly was going to follow up on this issue directly in terms of this line. And she will talk to you afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to this side. Mr. Mike Silverman.
Thank you, Councilman Traeger. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We hear a lot about Housing New York. Your 10-year plan to build 200,000 affordable housing units to help both tenants and landlords preserve the quality and affordability of their homes. I'm the president of Amalgamated Wabash Houses, representing almost 2,600 families, over 8,000 people on 26 acres right here in Coney Island. Originally built as part of the most successful affordable housing programs in history, the Mitchell-Lama program in 1964. There are still many of us remaining in the program.
Yeah, we need you to summarize because we got a lot of people waiting.
Yes.
Get to the punchline. I think I know what it is, but get to the punchline.
Okay. What are you doing to preserve existing state Mitchell-Lama affordable housing?
Excellent. I appreciate it. It's a very important development. You're right. It was Mitchell-Lama, which is run by the state, but there's times when the city can get involved to help, as you know. This is a very, very important development, and we want to help going forward, and we have the capacity to help. As you know, there's some outstanding legal issues that need to be resolved. We'd like to see those resolved. We're ready to help with more resources, but we need the legal issues to be resolved too. So the commissioner is right there, the HPD commissioner, Maria Torres Springer. We are open for business and we would like to help, and we have resources to help with. Please talk to her about how we can get some of the past issues out of the way so we can move forward.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. And this lady here was patient. Again, we're going to call on everyone. We're just going to go around the room.
Hi, my name is Zaina. I have the young lady that made the statement about the buildings, how the conditions is in Coney Island houses. I guarantee you, we need lights back there, which them lights been out for the longest. Compactors are down, and this goes for NYCHA. The president or whoever of NYCHA, as far as your call center, is garbage. Because when you call there with an emergency, why is emergency 24 hours? What kind of emergency is 24 hours? Tell me, I need to know this. And then when I talked to one of your receptionists, whoever working it, she couldn't answer the question either.
Zena, is there a problem in your apartment? Because we want to make sure that they have the...
Right now? What's going on in it now?
All right, because we want to give them the address and give them that information so they could follow up expeditiously.
Okay, I'm in...
Okay, right here is, again, I want to... hold on one second. I want you to hear who you're dealing with. I need everyone to understand this. Michael Kelly, the general manager for the entire New York City Housing Authority. This is the person who makes things happen in the Housing Authority. How can he help you? What are you specifically asking for?
Well, actually, I've been looking for a paint job for the last 6-7 years.
Again,
I ain't got yet.
Ma'am, I'm trying to get this across. If you want
trying to
help,
get across to you.
here is the guy who runs the Housing Authority. He's ready to help. How can we help?
Well,
What do you
I
need?
want him to come out and look at the apartment.
Then he's going to come out and look at the apartment.
He can come to my house
He's
right
coming
now.
to your apartment.
He can come there now.
He's going to go to your apartment.
Right then.
All right,
And
Mike,
don't
you're
forget
going to her
about-
apartment.
Don't forget about your call center.
Give me that. I look forward to it.
All right, we're going to go to
Not a
this
problem.
side. This young man.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This is a housing issue that I want to raise. A lot of landlords are discriminating. There's about 16,000 of landlords that take Section 8. There's about 45,000 recipients that receive Section 8, and the other programs like City Fabs and Link. A lot of landlords are not taking it. What can we, as investors and brokers, do to convince these landlords?
Thank you. I know you've raised this concern before, and I appreciate it. It's a very important concern. Let me make sure everyone knows this. This is a matter of the law in New York City, and I'm very proud to say when I was in the City Council, we passed this law and I helped to author it. If someone has a Section 8 voucher or any other kind of government assistance for housing, you cannot be turned away. You cannot be told you're not allowed to rent because you have a Section 8 voucher. That's illegal. And if you can prove that someone, a realtor or a landlord, turned you away because you had a Section 8 voucher, you actually can get compensated to the point of getting the apartment, and there are very, very substantial penalties to any landlord or any realtor who discriminates. So the answer of what can people do in the industry is to inform everyone else of the fact it's illegal, and to the point we've talked about before, that the programs we put in place, and Commissioner Banks will speak about this, all of these subsidy programs that we're doing now are for the long haul. We're committed to them for the long haul so that when a landlord accepts those vouchers, they can know that they can depend on them for the long haul.
So first of all, thank you for being a broker who wants to work with us in these programs. The mayor has invested funds in our agency to enforce the law that he sponsored, and we're going to take your information and we're going to go after those landlords that you're trying to get to participate who will not. So thank you very much for stepping up, and I'll send some right around. We'll talk to you.
Very good. Yes, we're going to get to everyone here, but just one thing I want to be very respectful about. When someone just asked a question, people were here, were talking, not listening, not paying attention. First of all, that's disrespectful to the questioner. Their question might be your question, and the answers that we're hearing from the commissioners might be an answer that's very relevant to you, or to your family, or to your neighbor. I also want to say, folks, that the people who came down here today, the mayor of New York, commissioners, and everyone here, they're here for you. And there's going to be follow-up from the mayor's office, from their agencies, and from my office. There's no magic wand, but there will be work and there will be follow-up. So the only thing I'm asking you is that when you're asking a question, let's get to the question, let's be timely about it, but let's have some level of just acknowledgement that high-level officials are here for you. And they're going to be here not just for 20 minutes, the duration of the entire evening. Is that clear? Is that good? Thank you. Okay, we're going to get to this side because we'll go back here as well. Young lady in the back.
Hello, good evening. I'm a single mom and I'm a new resident of Coney Island. And I came from foster care, so it's like kind of a transfer system.
Get closer to your mouth.
It's kind of like when you come from foster care or different type of agencies, it's like a transfer system, so they have like a set-aside apartments. So you general manager of the city, yeah. They have a set-aside apartments for, foster kids or people in programs. So I went to see an apartment with a one-bedroom, and then I got the keys to a studio, and they would like take it or leave it. So I'm pregnant, so I take it. So it's the way that the general management treats you as if like this is your option and you don't get anything else, and then you fear that you're gonna live on the street if you don't have no other option. So I did go to Mark Trigger when he came to our community center, because I do come to these meetings as much as I can, 'cause I'm trying to make a better life for me and my son. And I think a lot of people in the community try to make a better life and they live in NYCHA, but the fear that you stick up for yourself to the management office and like you're gonna lose your place or you're gonna lose something.
No.
It's the fear that I'm just stating, it's the fear that they put in you when you fight for your place or your rights. And also the falsifying of documents. Like, I see apartment A, but I don't know that it's A. You know that it's A because you show these apartments. So I don't know. I just give you my account number and I'm like, okay, I signed for this apartment and it's not the apartment that I get.
So the folks from NYCHA are here. This is the general manager of NYCHA right here.
Yeah,
The highest-
I'm just trying to sum it up, but I'm just trying to say also, it's like they make you falsify documents, like some things, information that you do not know, and they like sign it off, don't check any boxes, which I did not do, and they just try to put a fear in you or put a lack of on you, and then you go to officials like Mark Trigger, and it's hard because it's a problem that's so deep into NYCHA that he can't help or she can't help and his representative can't help.
Okay, let me say, again, that is not what you should have experienced. I'm sorry you experienced that, because especially if you're coming out of foster care, the idea is to help you get on your feet and to be respectful and supportive. So I'm not happy at all to hear that you've had this experience. I want everyone to know, no one can say to you, take this or you'll be homeless. That's ridiculous. They should offer, I know, but I'm saying we want to know who they are, because that's not what we want them to do, and we're in charge, they're not in charge. So if someone does that, we want to know who they are so we can follow up and deal with them. You should not have had that experience. If you have the details, again, the general manager will come to you and we will follow up on any individual who treated you that way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you as well. And again, let's get right to the questions. A lot of folks have their hands up. Ms. Brumfeld. And then Ms. Harry.
Hi, good evening. I'm Loretta Brumfield, Coney Island Houses resident leader. Back in 2014, you came to Coney Island Houses and you told us that FEMA allotted us $108 million for CND recovery. So we were told that we got a $90 million contract and we were allotted $108 million. So I want to know what happens with the other $18 million. Will we get some pipes?
So all the FEMA money?
Right,
Okay.
the FEMA money we were told.
Right.
We
but
were
you're
told-
asking about what's going to happen with all the FEMA money.
No.
No.
I'm telling you that when you came,
Right.
you personally
I
came
did
to Coney
indeed. I
Island
remember.
houses
Yep.
in 2014.
Yep.
And you told me
Yep.
that we were allotted $108 million from FEMA.
I will go.
But when they came to do the work, they said that we have a $90 million
So
contract.
let's find out.
So I want to know where's the other $18 million.
All right. So,
And what we going to do with it?
okay, hold on. We're going to get you an answer. I don't remember what the original number was. Do we have confirmation what the original number for Coney Island houses was?
Unfortunately, Joy, who's right behind you, has some more details on this. I can actually, Thank you. Want to do this, Joy?
So, okay, when we went there in 2014, do we know what the number was that we announced then? I'm just, ma'am,
2014, the numbers
trying to
that
give you an
were
answer.
given to the developments were high-level estimates that FEMA had made based on a conceptual scope of work. About $90 million.
We're trying to answer.
is
I'd
getting
really like you to
invested
give
in
us a
Coney
chance to
Island
answer the
housing.
question. So how much did we announce back then?
So when the original estimate,
Just give a number.
the number she gave is the accurate.
Okay, and then what has happened since?
That number is part of a $3 billion record program that NYCHA is investing in 33
so
developments
what's it,
across
for this site?
Yeah, for the site.
$90 million.
Okay, so what's the difference? Why? Because it was an estimate originally?
It was a conceptual estimate from FEMA.
Okay,
before the
and
work
has the work that we said would be done, is all that being done?
Everything that was promised that would be done will be
Okay,
done. It is
so the
part of our
price
scope
is
of work
different,
that
but the
started.
same work is going to be done.
Exactly.
As simple as that. The work's going to be done. The money is for the specific work. If we got the work done for less money, that's a good thing, but the money is for the specific work. So everything, so we need a summary given. We need to provide them a summary of everything we said would be done and when it will be done. Okay?
Okay, folks, let's just get right to the question. This side, this lady here. We're going to go around the room.
I would
Let's just get right to the question so we can get everyone heard.
Hello, my name is Teresa Harper, and I've been living in Coney Island for a long time. We are the people. So why our people don't have a say-so in how we build Coney Island? Why is no jobs for them? I don't understand it. Why they're still standing on the corner, but this is what y'all are saying to us. You want to help us. Town meeting, why they don't have no jobs? Why are the people coming in building us up and not us? And our boys are still standing on the corner and not being hired. You done stopped the crime, now pull them off the corner.
Okay. The whole goal here, and this is why this piece about having a place in the community people can go to be connected to jobs, is because there are more jobs all over the city. There are more jobs in Brooklyn. We got a lot of young people who need to be connected to those jobs, including some who didn't get as much training and education as they might have in the past. We want to get it for them. Excuse me, I'm trying to answer your question. We want to connect people to jobs here in Coney Island. That's why we have a Workforce One Center right here.
So I think what you're talking about is the fact that we need to make a better connection to those young people that you see on the corner to our services. So I'd love to talk to you. Right. So no, ma'am. The training that we have at the Workforce One Center is to train the individuals on how to actually join the union and either become an electrician, et cetera, et cetera. So we can actually connect them to different opportunities. So I'll talk to you after this in terms of how you can make the connection to those young people to the programs that we have.
And by the way, I do want to note, because historically, it is very true that the people at the table were not the residents in the past. That is very true. And there's a saying that I used to share with my students, that if you don't have a seat at the table, you're most likely on the menu. And that is a very true statement in many cases. But I do want to tell you that we are working to address issues of capacity, because you can't just put anyone on the street on a construction site. They have to have a certain level of skills and credentials, and the employers set that. So Workforce One, which is now here across the street by the library, when people come in, they get it assessed. Where are they at? They don't set the rules for the employers set the rules, and so our issue is making sure that residents have the capacity, the education, the skills, the licensing, and I want to do everything possible to break down those barriers to get people employed right away. Right, so I'd like to speak with you right after this town hall myself as well to discuss this. Excellent. So, yes, ma'am, yes, right here, and then we're moving to this side.
Hi, my question is, what are the rules for non-citizen living in NYCHA?
Say again?
Folks, please allow your fellow neighbors to ask a question.
What are the rules for non-citizen living in NYCHA? Because
living in public housing?
Yes, we have to pay more than 30% of our income. Even if our income is not that much, we have to pay double more than some people.
Okay, hold on. I'm not sure that is. Okay, again, everybody, wait a minute. I'm trying to answer your question. Here's the general manager of NYCHA. No one knows more about the day-to-day operations of NYCHA than the general manager of NYCHA. So let's start with, what do people pay in rent? What is the standard?
No more than 30% of whatever your adjusted income. And I have folks, we will like to find out exactly.
If you have an example that you feel violates that, we need to know it. Because there's only one rule for all of NYCHA. There's 400,000 people. It's supposed to be 30% of your income. If you have a concern that someone is being unfairly charged, he needs to know that so we can go and fix it.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Dr. Law, and then Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
I am paying more.
Again, let's get right to the questions, folks.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, my question very, very simple. Don't worry, okay?
I'm ready.
About specialized high school exam. In recent years, some elect officials said that we had to cancel the exam. Someone said that it's fair, someone said it's very unfair. How come some students take only one exam, get to Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech? Because I worked at Department of Education for 35 years. A lot of parents told me that, Dr. Law, talk to the mayor, keep the exam. So what do you think, sir?
Okay. Excellent question. This is about the specialized high schools. They're some of the finest high schools in this city, in our public schools. and some of the finest high schools in the country, in fact. And right now, I believe the system is unfair for admissions. I've said it publicly many times. I do not think people should get into some of the best high schools around on the basis of a single test. This is controlled by Albany. We would need a change in state law. I have requested that change in state law because I think we should look at not just tests, but grades and other activities that students have done to decide how to choose students for those schools, not just a single test.
Okay. We're gonna move to this side again. We're gonna go all around the room as well. Mr. Grief. Grief, forgive me. He has some grief, that's why he's here.
Remember, I caused grief.
That's right.
But Mayor, as we work together in the past,
yes,
the one thing I'm going to say, and I want to change to a different subject. New York City ID. Let me know when you're ready, Mark.
I'm ready.
Okay, no, because I know. New York City ID has not worked with our population. I did do the complaint with 311, and I know for my fellow disability community has been trying to get New York City ID, but your locations are sometimes very hard to do. I wanted to work with New York City ID, but they have not returned my call. And a lot of my disability community have not are feeling discriminatorial. The seniors are the same. There are some seniors are feeling the same way. I had a space for them in the past year that would have been easy for them and accessible. I was trying to work as a team player with them.
Yep.
As you know, I'm a Special Olympic athlete. Eddie Mock knows that.
Yep.
And Pat Singer knows that as well. I'm a team player. I have not gotten any calls back, and I don't like to be called a liar.
No, I'm sure you're not a liar. I appreciate. Let me just say it's obvious that if we're not doing enough to reach people with disabilities, we got to fix that.
Yes, sir.
And this is look. The NYCID has been extraordinarily popular. It's well over 1 million people now. It's providing a lot of great discounts and opportunity. We want to make sure anyone who needs it gets it. So what can we do to address the accessibility just for people to actually apply for it? Go ahead, Bita.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Bita from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. We totally want to work with you. I'm going to connect with you right after this. We can actually set up a mobile enrollment site. We can bring a vehicle out. We can do a reasonable accommodation and a homebound visit if that's what we need to do. Perfectly.
Okay, we will definitely work with you to fix that. Thank you very much
good.
for raising the concern.
Sir, you're next, and then Sheila Schmalz. Go ahead. Please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Mark Traeger. I'm Bob Casara. I'm from Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights. We have a problem in our community, and that is conversion of houses to illegal conversions of houses in our community. We have 1 and 2 family houses. Our zoning is being broken. We need your help. You're the one person that can help us with the Department of Buildings to make things happen. We need, at the last town hall meeting that you had in Bay Ridge, you had committed to more inspectors, more technology, whatever, to make this happen. I don't know if that has been done.
Yes.
But we do need more, a lot more.
Okay. The answer is who's here from buildings? Come on.
All right. So folks from
it's a very real problem. It's a very real problem.
Real.
We've added hundreds of more inspectors specifically to get at this problem. So now we have to make sure the inspectors are getting to where the problem is better. So in terms, just let them finish. Yeah, go ahead.
Can help by assigning an inspector right to our community board so we can get out at the problem immediately, not have to wait days on end.
Can you remind me the number of the board?
Community Board 10, Josephine Beckman.
You give your first response, but I also want to make sure that you directly contact Community Board 10 as follow-up. Do you want to speak to this?
So I'm Tim Hogan. I'm Deputy Commissioner of Enforcement. Community Board 10 specifically has a team that goes out every single Friday night in that community board working on illegal construction of illegal conversions. It's one of only 3 community boards where that's going on. Overall, in this community board, in these groups, the number of illegal conversion violations that we write is almost 50%. That is, when we get in, 50% of the time, we are writing those violations. We have been working very hard in Bay Ridge. We have actually taken the license of 2 contractors. We have gone for license revocation of architects, engineers, and electrical contractors that we've caught doing business of illegally converting properties in Community Board 10. So we've been very active there and will continue to be very active there. And if you need additional information, I'll give you my card, and you can give me a call, but we are very active making sure that there, as well as other areas, Coney Island and Brighton Beach, that those areas are directly reviewed to try and stop the problem with illegal conversions and have people live safely.
Okay, Ms. Sheila Smalls.
He's talking, so he needs to hear this. I'll wait.
Again, folks, let's just try to get right to the heart of the question in the interest of time to let everyone here ask their question. He's just...
Hello, Mr. Mayor. My name is Sheila Smalls. I'm a resident leader. I'm also an executive director of a youth organization called CI Youth Alive. First of all, I want to know why it's so cold in here. Okay, I'm freezing. And if you really wanted to be, you want us to be comfortable, and we want to sit here, and when we want to talk, and we want to do things, you can't have people like this.
Hold on, let me test the room.
It's cold.
Hold it. We're going to take a poll. How many people think it's cold? Okay, we're going to fix it. Thank you for raising that. Okay, who here is from the Y? Where's someone from the Y? Can you fix the temperature, please? Can you get it warmer in here? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's a good start.
Thank you. My question to you, I want to talk to somebody on the side about a civil service matter.
All right.
Okay, that's personal.
Okay.
But as I said, I have a youth organization, and I feel some type of way about the ocean dreams that are supposed to come down the line. I feel very upset that our mayor, Mayor Koch, gave us a YMCA on West 33rd Street, Surf Avenue. And what happened was, we did a press conference with our Honorable Mark Traeger, and we stood up there and we demanded that somebody help us get that building. You had a meeting with Mr.
Katsimatides.
Thank you. They know the name. And 2 days later, that building was bought. Nobody's using that building. We don't know when they're going to renovate it or anything like that. We could have been using that building. We have a lot of kids out here. We have a lot of different programs like my drill team that cannot be in the YMCA because we make too much noise. But that's what drill teams do. We beat drums. We make noise. So my question to you is there anything that you can do to rectify that? Because it's just an empty building.
Okay, let's find out. Now, this was HPD?
This was the old...
No? Who was this? EDC? Who was it? What site is it?
This was the old FEGS building on Surf Avenue. That FEGS building went up for auction.
Right.
And John Katsimatides' company purchased the lot.
But who, do you know which part of the city was involved? Which government?
EDC was considering at my request, but they opted not to purchase the site.
So was this auctioned privately?
This was a private auction.
Okay. So then that one, honestly, if it's held by the private sector, it's held by the private sector. What do you need now that we can help you find?
We need
space for youth programs.
Space and we want to buy that building. You have money. So you can give that money and outbid that person and get that building for the youth of Coney Island.
I'm not going to buy the building back that we sold already.
Okay, but you need votes. My father said if you can't, come on now, it's election year. It's election year. You're talking to intelligent people.
Yeah.
Okay, I've voted all my life. I'm over 50. And I am a prime voter. I never missed an election primary from the time that I could vote.
Okay.
Neither did my parents or 5,000 of my residents.
Listen to what I'm saying to you.
All right.
It's not about votes for me. It's about trying to actually address your issue. So if you don't like what I do on your issue, vote however you feel is best. But I'm telling you, if the building was sold already, we're not going to go buy it back, but we can try and solve your problem in another way. If you need space for a youth organization, then I'm going to get our Department of Youth and Community Development to start working to find you space for a youth organization. That's how we'll do it, and he'll follow up with you.
Okay, excellent. Derek Lateef Scott from our Cure Violence program.
Oh, sorry. Hello, and good afternoon. First, I want to...
Just speak up, Derek.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've had, under the Cure of Violence, since we've been in inception, we've had 2 runs of 200 and something days without a shooting. This was...
Did everyone hear that?
2 runs. However, However, there are shots fired and people getting shot in the back where we're not, which is not our catchment area. My question is, for us to expand, we need more funding to actually hire people for the back, in that back area near C-Rods and Graves End. So we're looking to actually move forward so that we can actually have the whole of Coney Island and have some of our violence interrupters and outreach workers work out in that area.
Okay, now let's start again. Everyone, I need you to pay attention to this fact. Tell them again what you started with.
We've had 2 runs of 200 plus days without a shooting within our catchment
200 plus
areas.
days without a single shooting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And this speaks to, this is why we believe in this administration. We believe in this movement called Cure Violence, Gang Interrupters, a lot of names for it, crisis management. We have been supporting it with a lot more money. I'm going to arrange for a meeting with you with Eric Cumberbatch of my office, who is in charge of dispersing the money. We added a lot more in the budget in June, working with the City Council, and our goal is to get good existing organizations like yours to be able to cover more territory. So let's get you together with Eric right away.
And then we want to offer you this. That's all.
Well done. Congratulations. Give them a round of applause, everyone. That's a big deal.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, Sofia Lobova, who's here, who is from Haber House, has a question. She speaks Russian, so I could actually translate. English, okay, давай. Молодец.
Yes, thank you. Sorry for my bad English, but I'm from Haber House Senior Center, Sofia Lobova. I would like question. 25 years ago, the start walk our Haber House Senior Center at the 24th Street, West 24th Street. But now, nice go to us, that's right, you know my question. In September, October, will be repair our center, yeah? You know. Some year ago, you told that our center, our room, you need, because this is your boss in the center.
София, ты можешь по-русски, и я могу по-английски. Давай, очень быстро, давай.
Окей.
Пожалуйста.
Окей. Несколько лет тому назад стал вопрос о том, что будет ремонт, и после ремонта reconstruction, and after reconstruction, NYCHA will.
Okay, so the issue is that they are aware that there are repairs that are needed at Haber houses. I think they're Sandy related.
Yes.
The question and the concern that she has is that the seniors use that space to gather. That's their senior center. Many of them are Holocaust survivors. They're very frail. They're in their 90s. And they're afraid that they're going to be displaced. If NYCHA can respond to that.
Thank you for bringing that up, and Rabbi, thank you for your leadership. I think that I want to be clear, the center will be in continuous use.
Yeah.
We're fixing it up though. So we're going to be taking some parts of it and fix it up, and the rest of the center will be available for use continuously. When all the work is done, we're going to turn the entire space over for a completed center. So there will be no interruption.
And our commissioner for the aging, hold on, please. Our commissioner for the aging, Donna Corrado, is here too.
So we're aware of the issue, and we've been working, the Department for the Aging, along with NYCHA, to make sure that you're not inconvenienced as much as humanly possible during a reconstruction and a renovation that's going to be fabulous when it's done, and that you get all the space back that you need to run the center. So it'll involve a little bit of compromise, a little bit of inconvenience, but it's all going to be great in the end.
Absolutely. You they talk no rooms. All rooms will be stayed.
So we heard the answer. Мы будем помогать. Хорошо.
Okay.
Who else?
All right, this side. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, my name's Elise, and I've got a quick question for you. What is the city doing to help homeless veterans in terms of mental issues and places for them to live? 22 a day die, and that's a terrible number.
You're talking about all over the country.
All over the country,
right.
yes.
In this city, so in terms of homeless veterans, I agree with you, this is a huge problem. So we had chronic veteran homelessness. That meant people who are homeless, who are veterans, who are homeless for long term. President Obama asked for a national initiative from cities to end that. We managed to end chronic homelessness among veterans last year in New York City. But there are still some veterans who are homeless some of the time. Any veteran who's identified to us who is homeless becomes a priority to immediately get first shelter and then permanent housing. So if you know a veteran in need, we make it a priority to get them to permanent housing. If they also have a mental health challenge, in addition to what we're doing through Thrive NYC, if they need supportive housing, meaning they need to be in a facility with mental health services in it, we make them a priority for that. If they need just ongoing mental health services, we connect them to it. So the important thing, and Commissioner Banks is here, if you know of someone in need, we want to get them that priority service.
And if you've got someone that you are concerned about, we'll have someone speak to you right now, get the information, and we'll follow up. Okay?
It's more a generic issue. I've become an advocate of veterans over the last 7 years. It's become very important to me.
Okay, understood.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
I also just want to acknowledge the presence that we have here, District Leader Delia Shack. Thank you, Delia. Okay. Very good. Go ahead, Delia.
I don't know if you came through Ocean Parkway or if you came through the Bell Parkway to come here. But if you came through the Bell Parkway,
I did.
the Gowanus odor is unbelievable. So is the one over here by Bay Parkway. If you opened your window, you wouldn't have been able to breathe. And being an asthmatic, and we have many asthmatics in our community that live right on top of this canal, we need that cleaned. We had a terrible oil spill just a few months ago of 27,000 gallons of oil from the Bay fuel that somebody fell asleep and wasn't watching, and it took forever to clean it up. We have many of our residents that fish there, and that's their meal. But the odor and the quality of air here is terrible, and in some of the sewers, as you drive by, or if you happen to park your car over a sewer, your car starts to smell from the filth in there.
Okay, we have our Commissioner for Environmental Protection, Vinny Sapienza, who will speak to what we're trying to do about this.
So the issue of the creek, you're talking about Coney Island Creek? Coney Island Creek, right? So there have been issues with Coney Island Creek for many, many years. One of the things that DEP did was we upgraded the Avenue V pumping station, which is near the pizzeria. That facility can now pump more sewage to the treatment plant and less is going into Coney Island Creek, so that helps. Sewer system issues are just a long-standing issue, and we've been working with the Department of Design and Construction to do upgrades. So as time goes on, those will improve. The issue about the oil spill, that was an issue where the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation was supposed to have alerted folks to it. They didn't. So going forward, we'll just make sure that everyone is communicating better. But that was a state issue.
But wait a minute. Can just, Vinny, help people know what the timeline is for improving the situation?
Sure. So we'll address Coney Island Creek. So the pumping station was upgraded. There's been some work that we continue to do. We submitted what was called a long-term control plan to reduce combined sewer overflows. That was submitted to the state, and we're working with them. Over the next few years, there'll be additional improvements there. One of the other things we're finding is there has been some illegal dumping into Coney Island Creek. Last year, DEP found 16 buildings that were illegally discharging sewage directly into the creek, and we've gone after them. That's been a continuing issue for us.
Okay, we're going to go to a couple on this side. Priscilla from Gravesend.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hey.
Hi, Councilman Traeger. So my name's Priscilla, born and raised in the Southwest Brooklyn community. I'm a student at New York University Law School. I'm a CB11 member and a member on the New York City Youth Board. My question is, I know you're not the governor, and I know the city does not have complete control over the MTA, but what do we need to do to get F Express service restored? Because we have 4 subway lines going into Stowell Avenue, no direct express service to Manhattan, and it's a huge need because we have some of the longest commute times in the city in this part of Brooklyn.
So first of all, a sincere congratulations, because if you're NYU Law, you must be really good. So I give you credit for that. But one point of choice of words I will only correct. It's not that we don't have complete control, it's that we don't have control. The governor appoints the head of the MTA, the governor approves the budget, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We fight for the city every way we can, and we're demanding a lot more fairness. So on the question of how do we get F Express service, again, one of our members of the board who does advocate for the people of the city is Polly Trottenberg. What are we doing about F Express?
And one of the things we have actually been working with the MTA on is they're starting to do a whole reevaluation of bus service around the city. They started in Staten Island looking at the express buses, and we've been urging them now to come to the other boroughs. So we'll take down a list of people's concerns, because that is one area where they're taking some input from the city and trying to make some improvements on the bus service.
Excellent. Thanks, Priscilla. Lucy Acevedo.
Good evening. Thank you. For those who are not qualified for the Build It Back Elevations Assistance, is there a way to introduce legislation in order to help current homeowners not to be required to elevate their homes? In other words, grandfather their flood insurance.
Okay, Lou, Dan, Janie, who's got this? This is you want to start? This is for folks not in Build It Back, right? Not in Build It Back. Do not qualify for Build It Back. What can we do to help them in terms of flood insurance situation?
Well, we've been continuing to advocate for stronger flood insurance protections to keep it affordable. There is grandfathering, but rates are still going up, and the legislation is in Congress right now to reauthorize the program. We've had a lot of support from your councilman in Washington to help continue fighting for more affordable flood insurance. That's going to happen in September, and that's what we're pushing for.
Okay, very good. Mr. Ed Cosme.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Ed Cosme, member of Community Board 13, local business owner and property owner. I understand the city has a double standard when it comes to assessing valuation of real estate property. Those in more affluent neighborhoods are assessed at a much lower rate than neighborhoods that are less affluent, and we have the burden, neighborhoods like Coney Island, East New York, Brownsville, are paying a higher assessed value of property, of real estate property taxes. Are there going to be any reforms or changes to that?
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for the question, because it's a question people care about all over the city. I think I would only say it a little bit differently. People who have higher value properties, because the way the system works, it only allows for a certain amount of increase each year. It doesn't catch up with them as quickly as it should. So it's not necessarily that people with the lower value properties pay a higher rate. It's that people with a higher value property, the assessments don't cause their taxes to rise as quickly as they should because there's a limit. What I propose is that we're going to put together a commission. It's going to be a very tough task, but we're going to have to literally overhaul the entire property tax system of New York City. It is not fair across neighborhoods. It's not transparent. There are people who say, if you look at homeowners versus co-op versus condo, it's not consistent. I want to come up with a single consistent system that everyone can say, okay, whether I like it or not, it's consistent, it's fair. Then we're going to have to get it approved by the city council and by the state legislature. The other thing, and I'm being very upfront with every New Yorker about this, it has to yield. When we fix all that, it has to yield about the same total amount of money for the city, because that's the money that pays for police and schools and parks and sanitation and everything. But you're absolutely right. The current system is not fair, not consistent, not transparent. I intend to fix it. It will take a couple of years, but I intend to fix it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're going to jump to this side because we're going to keep going around very quickly. Young Mr. Smith. But let's just get right to the question so we can move faster, folks.
Thank you for this long-awaited meeting. To be fair to everybody, I think maybe we should
all get in line and ask a question because I don't know if everybody's going to get as many questions in as they want. I had many questions.
Mr. Smith, I know.
But I have one statement first. Back in the 80s, Giuliani sold us a bill with that stadium. He said with that stadium, we would get a neighborhood community center for the people of the neighborhood. Now, every time a politician sells us something, it's good for Coney Island, but not good for the neighborhood. And we have to interject and change that. Because although Coney Island's getting good and after Sandy, they're thriving again. The neighborhood is still suffering. And we stand up the neighborhood. There's a lot of little small examples of it. Their prices, everything down in Coney Island, food, amusement, whatever, is overpriced for tourists. But it's the neighborhood that keeps it up during the off months. Yet, we see commercials on, first of all, we're
okay, but I need you to get to one thing, because everyone's been doing that. So what's the issue you want to raise?
I want to know if we will eventually get a community center for the neighborhood, and that you know how hurt this neighborhood is after Sandy. There's a lot of mental illness out of here. There's a lot of frustration. And I'd like to ask anybody that's in Build It Back to please stand up. Nobody here is still in Build It Back.
Okay, let's stay on your first point, which is the community center. Do you know this history? Because I don't know what Mayor Giuliani did.
With regards to the stadium, I don't know what deals. I was a young child back then.
No, I wasn't, so you weren't.
When that stadium was built, I was not 35, I could tell you that.
Young child.
But with regards to the need for a center in this area, that I'm very much familiar with, yes.
Okay, so all I'm asking, since I don't know the history, did the city ever guarantee a center to the community?
Abe Stark is a skating rink.
The only thing that was agreed to was with regards to, in 2009, rezoning, the city received permission to demolish the Abe Stark rink only when they construct a new ice rink in this location as well. So he's referring to a community facility in this area.
So what I'm going to do, I appreciate the question, because you're the first person that's ever said to me that there was a previous commitment that was not kept.
Yes.
We had a different situation, but it's a little bit similar. Mayor Bloomberg made a commitment 10 years ago in Williamsburg to put in a park, never put in the park. So we've looked at that commitment. We believed it was a binding commitment. We have now gone and funded that park. I will go back because you asked the question. I will find out exactly what was agreed to. If there was such an agreement, we will act on it. So I'm going to find out what specifically was agreed. So I'm finishing by saying this to you.
I understand.
If there's a binding agreement out there, we will fulfill it.
All right.
Okay?
I also have to express.
No, sir, one each.
Build
Come
It
on.
Back.
All right, Derek.
Has frustrated this neighborhood.
Derek, we will follow up with you, but we really need to, and folks, please stay seated so we can call on you, and if you're not shouting, we want to get to every single person here. Yes, CB11.
Hi, is the Board of Ed planning to bring back vocational high schools to learn trades for the next generation?
Yes. So there's a lot right now. Who's here from DOE? Okay, Phil. In fact, you have plenty of experience in your own work. There's a lot more. When you and I were growing up, it was vocational education. It is now called career and technical education. Same concept, though. But there's so many new things we have to teach young people so they can get the jobs of today. Technology, healthcare, film and TV, all sorts of new areas. So construction for sure. So we are actually adding a number of programs in high schools, and we're building up new high schools that specialize in these. Phil Weinberg, Deputy Chancellor, will tell you about it.
The mayor's committed resources to allow us to build 40 new programs throughout the city, strengthen 25 existing programs, and make sure that the work that we're doing with career and technical education meets the workforce needs of the city as it grows. That work is ongoing. We're very proud of what we're doing so far, but we know we have a ways to go to make sure we meet the employers' needs in the city, and we're going to keep working on it that way. Thank you.
Yes, and then after you're next.
Right. Can I speak Spanish?
But just get right to the question. And folks, again, if you're not seated, I'm not going to call on you. Please be seated. Thank you.
Thank you. Mi nombre es Ricardo Rojas. Vivo en el barrio de Coney Island y soy miembro del proyecto de justicia laboral. Estoy aquí porque estoy preocupado por la propuesta de ley.
So my name is Ricardo Rojas, and I lived in the neighborhood of Coney Island, and I'm also a member of the Workers' Justice Project. Oh, and I'm here because I'm actually worried about a proposed legislation, 1447.
por la 1447. ¿Qué quiere hacer el mandatario? ¿Qué quiere hacer mandatario que nuestros trabajadores de construcción entrenemos 59 horas de salud y seguridad? ¿Cómo su gobierno va a hacer que estos entrenamientos estén accesibles a nosotros, los trabajadores inmigrantes sin papeles de la construcción?
So this proposed legislation, it's proposing that we, the construction workers, are trained in 59 hours of health and safety. So I want to know how your government, if this is passed, how your government will ensure that these trainings will be accessible for all workers, especially to those of us that actually do not have papers.
Okay, we are working on that issue right now. I appreciate the question very much. As everyone knows, we have a lot of construction happening in this city. And on one level, that is a very good thing. There's a lot of jobs. But unfortunately, there's also been some tragedies. We've lost some construction workers. And so there has been a real focus in the city council and in the mayor's office to come up with new legislation to require more training of every worker to make sure they know how to stay safe on the job, and also to make sure the people who run those construction sites follow the rules and do not endanger their workers. That legislation has been moving rapidly through the city council. I think it could be a matter of only weeks before we're ready to take action. I don't know, and I don't know if you know, council member, I don't know how we are addressing undocumented workers in that. It's a very good question. I will go back with my colleagues and make sure we are being sensitive to the needs of undocumented workers, but I don't know what it is yet in this,
and I could just quickly,
legislation.
I could just quickly speak to that is one of the sticking points still being discussed about the legislation. There's a reason why it hasn't been up for a vote yet. There's a number of things to discuss, and that is a major issue as part of those discussions. So we will definitely follow up with your organization to bring that back to the council. As you know, Councilman Williams is the prime sponsor of the bill. The main concern is safety of workers. We've seen many construction-related deaths around the city, too high for us, and we have to deal with that head on, but of course not to compromise or hurt the most vulnerable workers in our city as well. So we will follow up with you, Lupia. Yes. Yes.
Right. We're not going back and forth. We've told you the answer. We are absolutely paying attention to it, and it's going to be worked on in the process.
Correct. Yes. Ms. Alfie Davis. Let's get right to the question, Ms. Davis.
Okay. Mine is an offer question. Okay? First of all, I'm just recently retired from the Board of Education after 24 years as a youth development counselor.
All right.
I've covered most of the schools in District 21, starting with Mark Twain.
All right.
329. And some others. But the point, the offer I'm making here is out of a necessity for jobs for people in Coney Island. I have a proposal, a copyrighted proposal for a complex that entails SIPAC and HESPAC, which are acronyms for the Coney Island Performing Arts Center, which is a year-round performing arts center that has a tenet of the HESPAC, which is the High School for Performing Arts and Sciences. Our children do not have a freestanding public high school within Coney Island. All of our children are bused or take subways to their high schools. There is no high school in Coney Island. I think it's time that we have that. I think it's time that we have jobs that are pensionable jobs, jobs that provide not just construction, though those will promote a lot of jobs, but also permanent jobs, okay? This proposal is a comprehensive proposal that does that, and also addresses the fact of Coney Island Creek and water management.
So Ms. Davis.
So what I'm asking, the question is, will you give me an appointment to meet with you, Mayor de Blasio, to meet with you, Councilman Traeger, and to meet with you jointly to present my proposal to both of you at the same time? Will you take my business card?
Okay, I'm going to answer different questions different ways. I'm taking your business card right now, but I have literally hundreds of people ask me each week for an appointment, and it's impossible to do that. So what I will do is the next best thing, which is get you an appointment with our Deputy Chancellor for Education, Phil Weinberg, who is right there. Because if you have a proposal for a new high school, we want to hear about it. We want to make sure the children of Coney Island are served. So Deputy Chancellor will meet with you.
Wonderful. Okay, young lady in the back.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Mayor de Blasio. My name is Naeem Marino, and I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I am a huge advocate for Brighton Beach, especially in the Latino community. My question to you, and I'm just going to go straight forward, when are the agencies going to come to Brighton Beach, such as the after-school programs, the Beacon programs? We do not have that in Brighton Beach. We do not have the free lunch programs. I grew up in Brighton Beach, and I used to go to those programs. It's not there now. I have a child. I have to service her or pay a summer camp, $3,000 to go to camp, and we cannot do it in Brighton Beach because they don't have no programs like that.
Okay.
Or for the families that cannot pay.
I appreciate the question very much. Where did you used to go to? You said you went and got these kind of programs. Where did you get them, or where did you get the free lunch?
They used to have them in Brighton Beach many years ago. PS 253. They had a summer lunch program. It's not there no more. There used to be an after-school program there. It's not there no more.
Okay, so let me ask a couple of people. Phil, our Deputy Chancellor Phil Weinberg, Bill Chong, our Commissioner for Youth Development. So here's the question. I want to first tell you that we have a rule now that for middle school kids specifically, I want you to know this specifically, every middle school child in New York City, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, is guaranteed an after-school seat. So one thing you should know for people in the community, it doesn't always mean it's in their school, but it's somewhere nearby. Everyone is guaranteed that for free. Now, in terms of summer lunch, I don't know how much of that is DOE versus other agencies, and in terms of beacons, Bill, come on up, guys. Tell her what is available for Brighton Beach or what we can do about it.
So we just added 11 new beacons around the city, so we have 91 beacons. So if you see me afterwards, we'll tell you the nearest beacon. The mayor's absolutely right. For after-school programs for middle school, there is a guarantee for every young person who is in middle school. Elementary, okay, so that's where I think there's a bigger challenge. We don't have the resources to have an after-school program in every elementary school yet. We're not there yet. With middle school, we are. But if you come see me, I'll connect you to the nearest beacon.
Okay.
Wait. On the summer lunch, I'm trying to remember which agency knows about the summer lunch.
I think that our agency does, but not this Deputy Chancellor, but let me talk to you about it personally.
Okay, so the Deputy Chancellor is going to come see you about how we can get more summer lunch access in Brighton Beach. Thank you for the question.
Very good. We're going to jump. Yes, you were, Ms. Harrison, very patient.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hi, Mr. Mayor. My name is Linda Harrison, and I'm resident leader for Haber Houses. We have approximately 382 residents there. I'm here representing them. As Ms. Lobova said, a lot of them are very weak and elderly people. We have a quality of life issue. We're right in the line of the Ford Amphitheater, which has no mercy on us Thursday through Sundays. Our apartments are like a sonic boom every 4 days. We get no rest. The windows rattle, the floors shake. When you close the window, you suffocate because it's hot. Your ears pop, and you're bouncing all over the floor. There's a lot of anxiety, no rest on my part, and I'm a healthy person, and my mom cannot enjoy herself. So we like to have some cooperation from the Ford Amphitheater. I appreciate that they're here, they want to entertain us, but at what price to the quality of life of our seniors? There's a nursing home right there, a rehabilitation center right there, and not to mention the 3 developments with senior citizens in it. Right behind the road is another rehab senior center. So what are we to do?
Okay. All right, let's find out. So you should know that noise issues are also under the control of Department of Environmental Protection. So Commissioner, what can we do about this?
So we will send out noise inspectors, and I'll give you my card.
Can we follow up directly with you? But let's start at the beginning. So Commissioner, I'd like you to directly follow up with her. If the noise situation is unacceptably high, then we have power over that amphitheater. We can go and get them to adjust the noise levels. So that's the obvious. We're not going to make the amphitheater go away, but we can affect the noise levels. So we will do a follow-up, and we'll obviously work closely with the councilman's office as well to get that adjusted. Thank you very much.
Very good. Ms. Akins.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Trego, Honorable Mayor. I want to welcome you to Coney Island. I appreciate you coming back here on the West End to listen to the residents of this community. My question is, out of the billions of dollars that is being cut through HUD and with all the issues that we have inside NYCHA development, I live in Cary Gardens, I'm a resident leader, and inside our developments, we have big problems with our plumbing. A lot of issues they're saying it's the roofing, will it be leaking? Once they fix the roof, the problem is still there. My question is, what can the city do about getting all these plumbing together? Okay. Because as you see on the news report, many issues has been going on with New York City housing plumbing.
So let me start with this. The problem that you're suffering and so many other people are suffering, we have buildings in public housing that are 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. And a lot of them have not gotten the maintenance and the support they deserved, and you know there used to be a lot of federal funding that got cut. What we did in this last budget, and I want to thank Councilmember Traeger because he was very supportive, we added $1.3 billion into the budget, $1.3 billion to make physical repairs in NYCHA, starting with the roofs, specifically the roofs that were causing the flooding, that were causing the mold and all the conditions that were health endangering. So that money's been handed over to NYCHA to start fixing roofs consistently. On top of that, they have plumbing contracts to bring in expert plumbers. So you're specifically, which building again, which development?
Yeah. There's a lot of residents that I have went to see their apartments. It's very damaged inside the bathroom.
So what can we do for Carroll Gardens?
Very familiar with this issue. With Carrie, again, I think that we're in a break and fix mode. As we identify those issues, we'll work with you on that. We'll have plumbers come in and respond to that. But the mayor's right. At this time, it's a citywide issue, and to a
So I'd like you to go pay a visit. Will you do that, Mike? The general manager is coming to see you, to see it directly and give you an update on the specific things and timelines in your development.
Yeah, good.
Everyone's watching. Everyone's watching. He's coming to see you.
I'll be there.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll see you right
one last here from this side, Wanda Feliciano.
Hello, welcome. Wanda Feliciano, Unity Towers resident leader. My big issue has nothing to do with this. We thank you for everything you bring into Coney Island, all this stuff. Could you give us some money so we can build a really big parking lot? Because we as residents live here. I'll give you the number to my brother. I have a car. My brother has my car by Coney Island Hospital. I have to call him to get my car to use it because I have no parking. So when these people come right now for the amphitheater and all the other games and all that, we as residents cannot park. And you don't give tickets to them when they park illegally on the bus stops and all that other stuff, but we get tickets. We're asking you, as the mayor, to, shake your little purse and pull out some money and give us the money, give it to Mark, so we can build a 5-level parking lot like in Kings Plaza.
So.
And I am the parking lot lady. Every meeting I go to, I fuss about parking.
I hear you, but I must say I've been to, as I said, over 30 town hall meetings. No one's ever asked me to shake my little purse before. I'm impressed. I will remember you. Okay, let me talk about the parking ticket piece first, and then I'll speak honestly to you about the garage idea. On the parking tickets, because NYPD is here and other enforcement agencies, the notion that residents are getting tickets and visitors aren't would never be acceptable to us. If someone parks in a bus stop, if someone parks in front of a hydrant, that's illegal. It doesn't matter if you're a visitor or not. So who here can speak to, and you're talking specifically, I take it, around the ballpark and the theater and things like that? And right, so, and the cyclone, okay. Who can speak to parking enforcement in this area? Someone, anyone. You got it? Could you affirm how we deal with parking enforcement for residents and for visitors?
Yeah, we've spoken about this before. Yeah. Well, listen. Who's ever violating any parking regulations, resident or visitor, is going to get a summons if we know about it. Certainly, I don't want to. I would rather summons the visitor than the resident, since I got to deal with the resident every day. But listen, we've spoken about this many times. There's only so many spots. Certainly.
Yeah, but listen seriously. I know you're both joking, but dealing with a serious issue. The notion that the NYPD is letting visitors get away with bloody murder and putting a ticket on a resident, I just disagree with that. And I got an expert here, I just disagree with it. Now, if someone has evidence of it, I'm listening, but that was not what we want to do. Okay, so like what kind of occasion? Okay, but that's not the same question as whether a car gets ticketed or not. Okay. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Okay, let him speak to why.
I do not know. I don't know anything about that, but I will find out. I will find out and get back to you.
Okay, but let's just be clear.
They shouldn't have parked them in the bus stop.
But I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you about the parking lot, but let me finish on this, because the notion that NYPD is choosing to ticket one and not ticket the other, I just don't buy. Okay. Okay, but that's what I really thought you did say. Okay, let's put that behind us. Very nice. We're putting that behind us. Okay, no. Because we're not building parking lots in New York City anymore. Because and this is, so listen to what I want to tell you. Exactly. No, I want to disagree with you. Excuse me. It sounds nice, but I'm going to disagree with you. Listen to the things. Okay, so look at me in the eye. Look me in the eye. So when we're providing 200,000 affordable apartments, okay, for New York City residents, that's not about tourists. We're providing free lawyers to stop anyone from getting evicted. Any New Yorker who needs a lawyer to stop their eviction. That's for everyday people. We're providing pre-K for every child who's 4 years old. That's not for tourists, that's for New Yorkers. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. No. No, you know what? I know a lot of New Yorkers, I know a lot of New Yorkers who care more about having affordable housing than they do about having a car. The future of the city is not going to be about cars. We have to create more and more mass transit for people, and we need more and more affordable housing. That's the direction we're going in.
All right. And hopefully when we have a ferry, there won't be need for cars here as well. Let's go to this side. Young lady was patient.
Good evening. My name is Noble Jamison L. I can attest to what she said about parking and residents receiving tickets and other people are not. I live on 29th Street right there where they're doing the construction. I have parked in the same location as one of the construction workers. The construction workers did not receive a ticket, but I received the ticket. So to say that there are people that are not receiving tickets that are not residents here, in fact, they are.
Okay, tell me where?
29th Street and Surf Avenue on the boardwalk here.
Okay, who's got that amongst the precincts? Okay.
Parked there all day.
You're going, come on over. Come on over, you're going to.
All of the parking lots, all of the parking spaces. I have handicap tags.
Inspector, hold on. He's coming to you. Listen to me.
I'm able to find a parking spot.
He's
and when
coming
I do
to you.
find a parking spot, I'm ticketed for parking there in the same location in which a construction worker who comes here at 6 o'clock in the morning with the rest of their crew from wherever they're coming from and block the whole 29th Street and the parking lot.
Okay.
The inspector is going to come to you where you live to see for himself because we want everyone treated the same. And he is in charge of the enforcement. So he's coming to visit you. Okay?
All right. Okay. All right. We'll talk about it. Okay,
all right.
I'll speak to you.
The problem is, I asked
And they, correct. Right. Right. Yes, you did. And I asked. No, I asked DOT.
Housing took the parking, affordable parking away from us. I can't afford to pay $327 a month, a year for parking. I'm in DC 1707, Long Island. And they took that, and now we have to pay $300 and something a year for parking. When I first moved in Niger, we were only paying like $8 or $10. Niger took the parking lot and sold it to a private company. If you park your car in that lot and you can't afford it, your car would be ticketed and you got to pay $130 right then and there on the spot.
Okay.
Why is that?
Let's get back to the point about we're enforcing everything equally. On the question of the specific site, you said DOT did something. What was that site? What was the site?
29th and Surf Avenue.
West 29th and Surf Avenue. Do you know what the situation?
We'll come take a look at that.
Okay. And on the question?
We did not sell the parking.
We will.
We are charging.
I left my information. No one called and told me exactly what's going on.
Okay. Ma'am, you gotta let us answer your question, please. Which development are you in? Which development are you in? Okay. We have the general manager, NYCHA, who's going to talk to you about the parking situation.
We did not sell the parking lot. We're now looking at charging fees, though, for parking. It's a different fee for residents than it would be for private, so we need to talk about where.
But we did not sell it.
We did not sell it.
Okay. Okay. Again, ma'am, this is the general manager, NYCHA. He's telling you we didn't sell the parking lot. So that's the bottom line. We got to go on to other people. Mark?
Okay. All right. Let me just, folks, 1 second. I want to just say this. Some of these issues, yes, we have heard before. But unfortunately, I just want to respond to some of these parking sign requests. There are certain regulations that have to be followed to remove no parking or no standing any time. I'll give you one example. A fire truck has to be able to get down a street, has to be able to turn. So they measure these things. So some sites they have done. I'll give you an example. If Ed Cosme is still here. Ed Cosme asked me about a year ago, why is there no parking by Kaiser Park? Remember, Ed? For years, just no parking by Kaiser Park. We reached out to DOT, Keith Bray, who's I think still here, right? Commissioner Keith Bray from Brooklyn DOT, responded right away and said, Mark, Mr. Cosme's right. We're not sure why no parking signs are there, and they removed them quickly and they changed them. Other sites have issues because emergency vehicles need access to turn to enter, access and exiting. The other issues are if there's construction going on and the street is narrowed, is there room for cars to get in and parking? So I think the commissioner has said that she will get back to you. This is the commissioner of DOT. This is as high as you can get in DOT to look at the site again. But I have heard concerns from agencies, not just DOT, but FDNY and others, that on certain sites they just can't turn their vehicles, they can't enter, and that's what complicates this. Okay, but ma'am, there's certain regulations they have to follow to make sure that it's. I hear you. But the commissioner of DOT will get those sites in and she'll respond. Okay, out of debate. I want to get to questions. Yes. We're going to keep going around, but if folks get to their questions, I can keep going around faster.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, let's go right to the question.
My name is Victoria Lynch, and I want to thank the mayor for coming out tonight. Thank you, Councilman Traeger. So you said get right to the point, and to the point is that the affordable housing or the unaffordable housing in Coney Island is disgraceful. At the same time, you have many families going into shelters. You have developers building all over the place in Coney Island, and you have people with nowhere to live, okay? So this is what I want to know. They have these signs up next to these developments, those that put the sign up. But when you call the numbers, because people are interested, we have families in Coney Island that's overcrowded in households, and yes, they have children that maybe would like to move in one of these apartments or developments.
Is there a site? Just get right to it, Ms. Lynch. I just want to.
So I just want to know, how can we get the information? We're stakeholders in this community, but we're the last to know about anything that comes to our community. They say they're doing stuff for the community, but they're doing things to the community. Okay. They're not doing it for us. They're doing it on their behalf, not on the community's behalf. We need more transparency of what's happening in our community so we can get involved and we can take advantage of the opportunities that's coming to our community.
So here's my view, and I appreciate the question.
Thank you.
The private sector, sometimes there are people in the private sector who come into a community and say, I want to do something good for the community and do it. And there's plenty of times when they come in and say it and they don't do it, right? The government, in my view, is the only guarantee you have. So we set up an affordable housing program that identifies any affordable apartments in your neighborhood and all neighborhoods of the city. Any New Yorker can apply. Different apartments are for different income levels. There's a certain number of apartments that are specifically for seniors. There's a certain number of apartments that are specifically for folks with disabilities. But any New Yorker can apply to get into these affordable apartments. The initiative we have is 200,000 apartments, and some of them certainly are in Coney Island. The program's called Housing Connect. It's a single application. There's lots and lots of people vying for these apartments. On the other hand, over the coming years, it will be a total of 200,000 apartments. That's a lot of supply. It's not like Lotto, where you put in a ticket and millions of people are putting in a ticket for one thing. No, there's going to be 200,000 apartments in this neighborhood and a lot of other neighborhoods. That is the central way to do it. So you're not left in a situation where you have to go building by building asking people. There's a central place to go where you can apply for the affordable housing. So that's what we do. In addition to what we do, we've put, as I mentioned, for folks who happen to be in public housing, we've invested $1.3 billion just in the last budget to fix public housing. For folks who are in rent-stabilized housing, that's between 2 and 2.5 million New Yorkers. We just did a rent freeze for 2 years. For folks who are trying to avoid being evicted or being harassed by landlords, we're providing free lawyers. We got a lot of different things we're trying to do. But none of this is about the goodwill of the private sector. This is about the government guaranteeing people's rights and protecting people's rights directly. So if you want to apply for affordable housing, the Housing Connect is the way to get to any and all options around the city.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll get to you, then we'll go back. Yes.
Спасибо. Thank you. Я русскоговорящая.
Окей, пожалуйста, без...
Да, я буду говорить по существу. Я не хочу ничего просить. Я не хочу ничего это все комментировать. Люди все разные. Я счастлива, что живу в этой великой стране из Москвы уже с 95-го года на Coney-Island.
So I will translate, and I think, thank you. She says, I don't have a question. I just have a very quick comment. I am so grateful to live in the greatest country in the world, in America, and she's grateful to live in Coney Island, Brooklyn. Okay.
И я счастлива сегодня, что я здесь нахожусь и дождалась своей очереди, потому что я замерзла.
And she's very grateful to have all her government officials here as well.
Я хочу здесь мира,
She wants
тепла,
peace in New York and peace in the world.
интернационализма, и чтобы не было войны.
Спасибо.
Okay, excellent.
Чтобы не было войны, чтобы не говорили Russian, не говорили...
She wants no wars and peace in the world.
Keep going. Let's keep going.
All right, Mitchell, okay, спасибо большое. Все, thank you. Что были здоровы 120.
Hold on, someone, brother.
Okay, давай.
No.
Надо идем.
Я хочу сказать,
Okay.
что я написала... Я написала стихи.
Да, окей. Сейчас я буду с тобой говорить, когда это кончится, я хочу больше людей сейчас говорить, окей? Пожалуйста.
Скажите ему, что я пишу стихи о близнецах. Написала.
She's writing a whole column about how she wants peace in the world and no wars.
Tell her we all want peace in the world.
Да, он хочет тоже. Мир. Окей, хорошо.
Спасибо.
Very good. Mitchell Cohen.
Let's give him a microphone.
Yes. Boy. All right.
Thank you, and welcome to Coney Island. So my name is Mitchell Cohn. I live on Cropsey Avenue, and I coordinate the No Spray Coalition Against Pesticides. And 2 weeks ago, this area and a large part of Brooklyn was drenched in toxic pesticides sprayed from trucks to kill mosquitoes. Now, those chemicals that were sprayed, I know it's a complicated issue for some, but not if you have cancer or not if your hormones are being disrupted by the pesticides that are sprayed or the piperonal butoxide, which is a likely carcinogen that's in it. So I wanted to ask the mayor if you will stop the spraying of toxic pesticides, which was started by Mayor Giuliani, and now it's being continued in the same way almost, and through Bloomberg and if you will stop the spraying. Okay,
so that's the question.
And would you join with us and to keep people from getting cancer, which is likely?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So first of all, you have presented the points well. And when anyone says to me, if you're doing something that Giuliani did, is that not a good reason to ask a question? Yes, of course it's a good reason to ask a question. So when I came in, and when I was even going back to being a council member, because I represented Prospect Park and the surrounding communities, I've asked this question many times. And our health commissioner, Dr. Mary Bassett, is, in my view, I will compliment her publicly, a very progressive, creative, modern public health leader who would never do something because Rudy Giuliani did it. She would only do something if she thought it was actually about public health and that there were not dangers created that were even greater. So, I know you've looked at this issue, Dr. Bassett, and this is a very real concern. A lot of people have this concern. Please help, just turn it on, there you go. Please help people to understand how you reason and really show them how you think about this and why you believe it is safe.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Cohen. And as the mayor said, there are a lot of people who worry about pesticides, and we worry about them too. The reason that we spray is not to get rid of what we call nuisance mosquitoes, although many people wish we would. We spray because we're concerned about the viruses that can be transmitted by mosquitoes, and because we want to protect people from diseases like West Nile virus, which we do see every year in our city. When we spray, we only use products that have been listed as appropriate by the federal government, the Environmental Protection Agency. We don't use any products which have been declared unsafe. Additionally, we work hard to make sure
Sorry, Doctor, I want to just clarify. The Environmental Protection Agency, when it was still actually the Environmental Protection Agency.
That's true.
So just a very important
that's
point.
true too.
This predates the current federal administration. Go ahead.
Thank you for that clarification. Although I hope that their scientists will be able to remain standing. But in any case, we also work hard to make sure that, I feel like I have my backs to most of the audience, but to make sure that people know when spraying will occur, that we only spray at night. We give advance notice to all the electeds. We release a press release. We release various alerts. And we tell people to take play equipment, keep their pets indoors. We have a police car that goes in advance of our trucks that makes announcements telling people. But Doctor,
could you explain why, all things considered, you think it is the right thing to do? I think we need to hear that.
I think that what we're talking about is the risk, our desire to reduce the risk of West Nile virus, which can be fatal, which we see cases of every year, and the risk of these products, which have not been shown in the way that we're using them to cause human disease.
Very good. Thank you.
And do you realize that
Mitch,
the No Spray
not going back and forth. Everyone's getting
won
their
our
chance.
lawsuit against the city on exactly this
You know I have a lot of
question,
respect for your work,
and the
but
city is now ignoring the results of that lawsuit, and we hate to have to go back in court over this.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Keisha Kemp, and I work with the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for 20 years. My reason for being here is regarding my employment. In the letter that I received on June 5th, 2017, it's stating here that I needed to go and reinstate back to work. However, in order for me to reinstate back to work, I would have to have a doctor's note present for me to go back to
I'm sorry, which agency?
This is the New York City Department of Health and
Health.
Mental Hygiene.
Okay, we're going to have the
DCAS.
commissioner talk to you because any personnel matter we don't talk about in front of a whole room of people if it's personal individual matter.
Okay.
But the commissioner will address it directly with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Barbara Teitelbaum?
Hi, thanks, Council Member. Your Honor, would you please bring back the barn dance on Neptune Avenue and West 5th Street?
I actually know about the barn dance at that location. Yes. It sounds like a square dance, doesn't it? Okay, so I asked this question when we were preparing for this town hall meeting. I knew a lot of folks who live right there would like to see it back. So I said to the experts at Department of Transportation, why wouldn't we bring it back? And they looked at what has happened before when we had it and since. So Commissioner, speak to that.
Right, and instead of the barn stands, we've put in now what's called a leading pedestrian interval, which probably a lot of you have seen, which is essentially you get the walk sign and you get 10 or 15 seconds chance to start walking before we let the cars go. And in this location, we've actually seen that it's really reduced collisions. Part of the reason we sometimes prefer those leading pedestrian intervals to at a barns dance, at some point, all the pedestrians have to stop and let the cars go. And one problem we have in New York City, just our pedestrian culture here, is oftentimes the pedestrians won't all stop. They're used to either being able to go straight or take a turn. So we found that the LPI actually has worked better. It's actually made intersections safer and avoided that problem of pedestrians sometimes not wanting to wait. And by the way, cars sometimes not wanting to wait either, because the other way, the barn stands where either all the cars stop or all the pedestrians stop.
Okay, so I want to suggest a next step. Commissioner, question should be whether we should add to the timing.
Well, yes, let us
So we're going to have DOT come over to you. Okay, you'll have the borough director come over and assess whether we simply want to keep the same system but add timing to it.
Right, and one thing we can always do in any neighborhood where you feel like the timing of a light is now not sufficient, it's either backing up traffic or pedestrians don't have enough time to get across the street, particularly an issue, let's say in a neighborhood where you have a lot of seniors, tell us. We can have our traffic engineers come look.
Okay.
We're not going back and forth this much. We're going to follow up.
We'll come
We're going to
take a
follow
look.
up.
They will follow up with you, Barbara. Yes, this young lady was patient before.
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for giving me opportunity to raise the issue. Though my daughter, she was in 6th grade and she raised this issue. I'm sure Mr. Mark Freger, respected sir, he remembers. And she raised the issue about halal food. I'm pretty sure, and I see, since 17 years I'm in this country, and I know kids have equal rights. But why not Muslim kids get halal food? Thank you.
Thank you. So this is something we're looking at. Right now, we don't have an immediate way to do it, but we know there is a real demand. In fact, the number of Muslim students in our schools is substantial, which is why, as you know, we decided to institute the Eid holidays as part of the school calendar. So we have now vegetarian options. We are looking at what we could do in terms of halal. It is on the agenda. We do not have a decision yet. We don't know how, we don't know when, we don't know how much it would cost, but we know there is a real need. So I will have an answer as we go into next year about what we can do about that. Thank you.
Very good. This young lady.
Hello. I'm here in regards to my brother. He lives in Surfside, but I guess it's Coney Island houses now. He was living there, he's 30, he was living there with my mother. My mother passed away 4 years ago. So he's in a 2-bedroom apartment that he cannot afford. He received a notice from O'Dwyer giving him a transfer to a studio, but he hasn't gotten anything. He's got.
Wait, can you clarify? He got a notice for a transfer and then what happened?
They haven't given him any notice, and he's now falling behind.
Okay, well, you came to the right place because the general manager is 5 feet away from you, so we're going to follow up directly to make sure, because we want him to move to that studio. He's going to follow up. Keep going.
Okay, great, very good. Yes, please.
Hi, everyone, and welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Got it.
My name is Mishgona Kulova. I'm one of the staff at the Coney Island YMCA
Right.
in Child Care Department. I was wondering if there is any way that we could, for those people that knows no more than one or two, but 3 to 4 languages, if it could be any attention to them, because I used to work to other places, in public places. I always running back and forth, translating to this language. I personally know 4 languages, and I'm working for 5th and 6th, but I get the same pay as everyone else, and it's considered to education too. So to learn one language, as you know, Russian, so I do Russian, Persian, English, Urdu, and I'm working for Spanish and the other
Right.
ones. This is my a little bit wish.
So your question is just the question that you have.
Yes,
If people could speak more languages are being hired in different agencies?
Yeah, I understand 2 languages,
Right.
English, and the second one like a mother language, but whoever knows 3 to 4 and 5 to 6 languages, it could be a little bit attention to them.
I agree. Sounds great.
Okay, I appreciate the question.
Yes.
For
Language access issue.
Right, I was just checking with DOE. For teachers, it would not make a difference. For a translator, it might make a difference in terms of value if they had multiple languages, so we'll follow up on that.
Thank you. Спасибо большое. Very good. This side, I think we're good. This side, young lady here. Let's just get right to the questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nadia. I am the Community Outreach and Development Coordinator for the Alliance for Coney Island. But aside from that, thank you, Sam. Aside from that, I'm also a Coney Island resident. I live in C-rise housing. I just wanted to speak to the lack of security in these buildings. As those from Operation Hood may know, about 2-3 weeks ago, there was a 40-year-old man shot in the face not too far away from the security office. The security office workers rarely actually leave the office. If they do, it's to step out and get lunch. There's no cameras in the stairways, which technically get filled all the time with people doing drugs and just hanging out, leaving
These are
garbage
private buildings. This is C-rise.
These are, yes, C-rise housing, to my understanding, is under Mitchell-Lama. I think we're owned by Grenadier and CDC.
Right.
There needs to be better security in these buildings, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, so this one is a C-rise. I don't personally know, so who's running it?
This is under this is state subsidized housing. It's not state
Okay,
subsidized
so what can
housing.
PD do about this, though? So
Vertical patrols.
or even just perimeter.
Right.
Who has this in your precinct?
Inspector.
Okay, so if there is drug activity, if there's been violence right outside, even if it's not run by the city of New York, what can NYPD do? And can your NCO address this situation?
Right, and the incident you're talking about was on 3-7 in Neptune, right? Yeah. Right, but that particular scene was pretty well lit. But I hear what you're saying. I'll get with the NCOs and I'll get with Anthony Hill, who's with the building manager. I deal with him every day, and we'll get that.
But let me use this as an example for all of us. So, Inspector, if there are people dealing drugs in the stairwells, for example, even if it's not a city-owned building, what would PD do about it?
Okay, number one, I have to know about it, because if we don't know about it, then we can do about it. You have to let me know about it, and then we will, whatever building it is, whether it's housing, state, city, anything in the confines of this precinct, we're in charge of enforcing the law. So we.
Okay. But either way, if they're doing drugs, it's still illegal. So you're going to follow up directly with the inspector tonight.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector.
Very good. Let's move to this side. Yes, Vitaly. I'm going to call multiple people here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming here. I just have a quick two concerns.
One per person.
All right. So this concern is probably for the Commissioner of Department of Transportation. We are all familiar with the city bike program. As a matter of fact, I brought in a map with me. I can show you. And my question is to you: when is this coming to Coney Island? There has been requests from 2012 and 2013 that I saw this morning on the map. When is this going to happen in Coney Island? We heard about transportation. What can the city do? This is administered by the city of New York. Thank you.
So it's a great question, and you know, one thing the mayor has always said, he wants to make sure ultimately that we see City Bike in all the 5 boroughs of the city and every neighborhood in the city that wants to have it. We are, as you have seen from your map there, the original model of City Bike has been to build out contiguously from the center of the city, because you need to have the bike stations close together for it to work. One of the new developments on the horizon that I think is going to be very promising, some of you may have seen if you follow this issue, there's a whole new technology out there that you don't need the big docks anymore, and the bikes can be dockless. And in some cities around the world, the bikes are starting to come in very, very quickly and cover huge areas. Here in New York, we think that's promising, but we want to also make sure that the bikes are safe, that people aren't just going to dump them in heaps all over the street. So we're working through how we can spread it quickly through the city, but do it in a way that's going to be safe and orderly. I think in the coming year, we're going to do some experimenting around the city and in the process form a plan for how we get out to the rest of the city.
All right, very good. Thank you, Commissioner. And I think we have a young questioner. Sorry.
Why don't you like Success Academy? And I'm scared that I'm not going to have a 5th grade.
Yeah, so I know this is a touchy subject. However, you know, as a parent of a Success Scholar, I'm very proud of how well she's performed, and I'm afraid that we won't have a place for next year. She goes to Success Academy of Bensonhurst over at the Seth Lowe building. And right now we don't have a middle school placement. I'm hoping that you're looking into that, that we'll have placement for her to continue at Success.
So several different points. I'd like to speak to you. I have deepest respect for your daughter, and I congratulate her, but this is a question for an adult to raise. So, look, I know a lot of young people have done very well at Success, and we have accommodated them in a number of our buildings, and where we didn't feel we could accommodate them, they still get funded by the city. I think Success, unfortunately, the leadership there, and you know there's been a big controversy over the chair and his recent comments, and the CEO have done a lot of things that have, I think, been inappropriate. There's not a back and forth. I'm answering your question. But that has not stopped us from continuing to work with them and provide opportunities. So this is one part of the larger charter movement. We work with all parts of the charter movement. When we agree with them or not, we're very clear we want charter schools to take every kind of kid, including kids that don't test well, including kids that have special needs or don't speak English. But the bottom line is, don't believe all the hype. There's lots of examples of where Success Academy has been given an opportunity to be in a traditional public school building or otherwise gets funded to find their own location. That's the truth.
And I also just want to have a very simple answer as well. I'm a product of District 21. I taught here in Southern Brooklyn. We have some of the best public schools right here in District 21, District 20. And I only say that respectfully, sir, because the one thing, I don't like to pit parents versus parents, kids versus kids. All of you matter. The kids matter. I want your daughter, your children to succeed. But I don't like when schools attack other schools. I don't like when schools call schools and kids failures. We have to do it in a constructive, productive, and positive way, because when you call a school a failure, you're calling those kids failures and the staff a failure. And that, sir, I will not accept. So I just want to say, I think it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I support parent choice, but we have some great school options here in District 21 as well. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. I'll keep this brief. I live in Marlboro, so this is a NYCHA issue. My question is, when is NYCHA going to fix problems and not just patch them up? I've lived in Marlboro for the past 8 years. And the last 4 by far has been the worst. Between the leaking and the mold and the peeling, they come and they patch it up.
Is this in your apartment or this?
Yes.
Okay, so we have the GM here. He'll follow up to get your.
But also, it's the building itself also.
Well, this was discussed during our meetings as well.
So
Congressman answer that.
Okay, so the general manager of NYCHA is here, Michael Kelly, and I want to first start by saying, again, we put $1 billion in. This is the budget that was passed in June, and thank you to the City Council again, $1 billion, which is a lot of money, to fix roofs to stop the mold. So there's a lot more resources now that have been handed to NYCHA to fix some of these problems. What can you tell us about Marlboro in particular?
To the mayor's point, we're looking at root causes. So to your question, as opposed to just going back and patching stuff up, we're trying to fix whatever the real cause is once and correctly. So when we make that fix to your apartment, we won't have to come back time and time again. But I will look into your specific issues and see what we can do to help you.
Very good. Yes, young lady here. Okay, let's get right to it.
Hi, really quickly. So we all know that Coney Island is a peninsula, right? And I know that you've done like traffic studies, right? So we know that it's already congested, and with your effort to build more housing, how are we going to alleviate it? Because you know, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you try to get out of Coney Island, you have Mark Twain, you have businesses. It's horrendous right now. Could you imagine bringing in more development, residential? And I mean, like, not to, on any of the efforts, but it's true. Like, I do feel as a Coney Island resident that there is a big initiative to bring revenue in addition to the residents, but mainly like non-residents. Like, I don't move my car in the summertime because I can't move my car. And it's not about parking. It's just like my quality of life is a little bit diminished too because of the rah-rah of Coney Island. Like I said, it's just way too congested now, and I'm really concerned about overdevelopment, giving homes to people, but yet,
Yep. There's no question. And so let me try, and it's a very, very good question, but let me try and put the pieces together. This is a problem all over the city. So you're right, Coney Island has some special features and attributes that are drawing people. But this is still, in one way or another, a problem everywhere in the city. So the number one issue for New Yorkers is affordable housing. There's no question. Everywhere I go, number one issue, even people who are in housing, a lot of whatever kind, are clinging to it and worried about being priced out. But there's lots and lots of people who do not have stable housing, need affordable housing. So that's where we focus on wherever we can get housing. If it's affordable, that's what we want most. Even market housing helps us because you build a bigger supply, it starts to reduce the prices some. So that's the number one imperative. Everyone who has a car, understandably, wants a comfortable situation with a car, wants the roads to... Right. I understand. I got it, but I'm speaking to it. I heard it. But I'm saying this is also, I know you have a particular challenge here because it is a peninsula, but the bigger reality in the city, people who are from New York City want to stay in New York City. That was not always the case in the past. People are coming to New York City. So we're trying to build a lot of housing. We're trying to keep up with building more transit options too. So that's why, depending on where you are in the city, it may be city bike, it may be select bus service. Some places we're starting to put in light rail, ferries, all these things to try and give people more options so that we can address the congestion. We're also going to come out with a congestion plan to try and reduce congestion in different parts of the city. But I want to be real with you, all of these pieces are sort of colliding with each other a little bit. And so the things that are drawing people to Coney Island in terms of entertainment and all, that also comes with jobs. We want that. It comes with revenue for the city that helps us afford to pay for police and schools and all that. We want that. But you're right, it is hurting your quality of life. So what we're trying to do, and certainly the council members trying to do, is catch up and constantly make adjustments. We need more housing of every kind. But we also need people to have a decent quality of life. It's not going to align perfectly. That's the honest truth. It's going to take a while to get those things to balance properly, but that is what our goal is.
Okay, we just have to get to more folks. This young man.
Thank you, Mayor, for coming to our area in Coney Island. It really is a great honor for us, and Mark has been tremendous in supporting the community.
Thank you.
And I have to say, I've been a community pharmacist in the area for more than 20 years, and I think Mayor de Blasio is the most progressive mayor that we've seen so far in the last 20 years. So
thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And also bringing development in the Coney Island community area. One of the issues that I want to bring today is I represent the Muslim community on Brighton between 7th and 8th and the surrounding areas. And we have, as a result of the acute need we have started a community center over there with a little bit of space, simply because we have seen parents coming to us with a lot of complaints about drug distribution and usage among the teenagers in the,
Yes.
in the area. And that has really caused a lot of concern because there's very little they're able to do to control that. And I think we need a little bit of help in that area. And also, it gets started when they drop off from the school and they don't have after-school support in the homework, and they don't do well in school, and they drop out, and they don't have any opportunity where they can get vocational training or vocational.
Okay, I got you. So I appreciate the question very much. Two things. I want to remind you, and a lot of people don't know, I want to do a poll of the room. How many people in this room know that if you're a middle school student in New York City, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you get a guaranteed after-school seat for free? How many people know that? Okay. I know I told you, but I'm testing. I'm testing to see if you took it in. Because wherever I go, there's still a lot of people know about pre-K. That was every child for free. But what not enough people know about is middle school is available for free after school is available for free for every middle school student. And I really need people, please, as an action item coming out of this meeting, if you know a family with a 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader that they think should have after school starting in September, we can start signing them up tonight and take advantage of that free opportunity. So to your question, if young people in the community are that age, we want to get them right away into those after-school programs. Now, Commissioner Chong of Department of Youth and Community Development has been working with leaders of the Muslim community to create new after-school programs, new community and youth opportunities. So I want him to follow up with you specifically about young people in the Brighton area and see what we can do to connect you to some of the things we've been building.
Very good. Thank you. Excellent. Yes. Commissioner, yeah, this is the guy that needs to talk. Yes.
Mayor, I'm asking this for a reason. My cousin is shy, and she's a fan of yours. She wants to know, can she take a picture with you?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
We do pictures.
Get up.
All right, we'll get her at the end of the meeting in just a few minutes. We've got less than 15 minutes left, everyone.
Mr. John Dolan, New York Aquarium, big fan. All right.
Mr. Mayor, of the many questions I could ask you, I'm going to ask you one that comes from the New York Aquarium, the Wildlife Conservation Society, as leaders in marine conservation here in New York City. Plastic pollution is a huge problem around the world and right here in New York City. The Wildlife Conservation Society's New York Aquarium has successfully partnered with DEP and others to build awareness around this. And
what's the question, my friend?
The question is this: will you agree to lead New York in being a force for good in the reduction of plastics throughout this city?
Yes. And
thank you.
Thank you. And not only are we going to aggressively extend all of our recycling efforts, and Catherine and you can add, but look, I think our legislators in Albany missed an opportunity when it came to the plastic bag issue. And they did not like the plan that was put forward by the City Council. I have said an alternative is a straight-up ban on plastic bags, and I'd like to pursue that ban on plastic bags in the name of the environment. Yes, thank you.
I'm on board.
I've said it before, and so on the recycling of plastics, what are we going to do to add to that?
So beyond that, we also will have going into effect, unless we get sued again, a ban on single-use styrofoam in the city of New York and on peanuts. On packing peanuts. We have pushed very hard to get the recycling rates up. Some of those plastics actually are quite valuable to the city. So I would actually encourage people to be participating in the program. This district could do a tiny bit better in terms of getting your metal, glass, and plastic to me, because we are keeping them out of the water system, and we partner as well with both EPA and DEP on the Trash-Free Waters program and the Clean Beaches, Clean Streets program. We think it's incredibly important, and we are supporting the research about the harbor and the plastics that are getting into the harbor, as well as trying to move against microbeads. So I'm happy to continue to work with you on that.
Very good.
10 minutes left, everyone.
Yes,
10
I just
minutes
want to
left.
get to folks who did not ask a question. Yes. Well, she didn't ask a question, and she is...
All right, just
pretty straightforward. Born and raised in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn, and currently I work. Right in a second. It's okay. So,
Go ahead.
and currently I work as an ER physician in New York City. I worked in city hospitals. I work in.
What's the
bigger
question,
hospitals.
sir?
The question is really simple. Why do my nurses still have a 12 to 15 ratio to their patients? Why do my patients still wait 4 to 6 hours in the waiting room? And the question is, what is and what can the city do to make those numbers and those numbers better?
You are talking about in our public hospitals.
Public hospitals in New York City, the quality of healthcare that we have here is one of the lowest for big cities in the country.
Look, right now we are trying to turn around a public hospital system that was basically on the verge of bankruptcy. And if we continue, and so many good people around the country have been fighting to protect the Affordable Care Act, if we continue to protect the Affordable Care Act, and if we succeed in beating back the cuts to Medicaid in Washington, I believe we will be able to make the health and hospitals system a lot stronger. I think we're making fundamental changes to modernize it and improve the quality of care. If those other things don't work in Washington, we're all in for a very bad ride, is the honest truth. But knock on wood that we will do okay in Washington. I think the reform plan we have in place is going to improve the quality of care, and that's going to bring in a lot more patients. That's going to bring in a lot more revenue. I believe that's what's going to happen.
Okay, Anita Garcia. Okay.
May I just like to know about the two tales of Coney Island, the have and have-nots. I have a young lady that I love very much that works very hard in this community. And when we want to do something in our community, we go out, we get our permits, and do what we got to do. Let me get to the point. The point is, the people that live in Coney Island are often told that they cannot have events on the boardwalk, whereas people that don't live here have major events on the boardwalk whenever they please. Why is that? And how can we fix that right away?
Thank you for the question. Mitch, is that you or someone else? Okay, Marty, you want to speak? So I appreciate this question a lot because, come on over, Marty, the community members should have at least as much, if not greater, opportunity to have their events. So what can we do to address this issue?
Sure. Well, I'll come and see you personally in a few seconds. If anybody wants to have an event in a certain spot or for more than 20 people, it requires a permit that takes about 3 weeks to process, so you want to plan ahead. If you're doing a larger event, there's certain areas that can accommodate in certain areas.
Okay, but you're going to personally address it. So
Absolutely.
He's the borough
Absolutely.
commissioner. He's going to work with you directly to address the issue. Thank you.
Great. Anita, retired Principal Anita Garcia.
Excellent. Thank you for all you've done.
Hi.
Hey.
This is for taxpayers. We have, and Mark has been working on this, we have a problem because the National Grid had to put lines in for gas, new lines in the houses. But they have ripped up the streets, and especially in the residential area, they had to come redo the streets, the sidewalks. I am telling you, Mayor de Blasio, they have done such a lousy job.
So where is this?
This is, well, my block is Polar Street, but it's 33rd, but really Polar Street is so...
But you're talking about National Grid ripping up the good work the city has done and making the situation worse.
No, the city, the good work the city is doing,
Right.
it's not that good.
It's not that good to begin with.
And they had to come back, and redo
Okay.
it. And
Mr. Mayor,
it's
she's
still-
referring to National Grid hired Howland Construction
yes.
to do work to install or fix gas pipes. So she's referring to the work of Howland Construction, not the city. But this is a private contractor ripping up sidewalks to deal with gas pipes for homeowners, but they're leaving behind a mess. That's it.
Okay, what can we do about
We
it?
have inspectors, so we'll get from you all the locations where they're not doing good work. We'll go out, we'll find them if we need to. We'll work with them to
Okay,
get
but we're
the
going to work
sidewalks
directly with you. Keith
Yes.
will follow up from DOT right here.
Okay.
And if they are, I believe, if a private entity does not do the work well enough, we have
Yes,
abilities to sanction.
Correct, we do.
We'll be all over it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Podhazer.
3 left, people. 3 questions left.
One quick question. I came back to Brooklyn 17 years ago. I walk the boardwalk constantly, and the bikers are crazy on the boardwalk. I've counted 25 bikers after hours. After 10 o'clock in the morning, they almost knock people over. It's really dangerous.
Who's got enforcement of bikes on the boardwalk? Who wants to speak to it? Come on, I need some help here.
Thank you.
Enforcement of bikes when they're not supposed to be on the boardwalk. What are we doing?
So that's really a Parks Department issue, but they do have manpower issues. We have written a lot of summonses, and you know that from the meetings we've had out before. It is a problem. It's not only a safety problem, it's become a little bit of a crime problem last summer in particular, with kids riding bikes and snatching property and then going down the ramp. We are enforcing it, us in conjunction with Parks. There's a lot that we're doing up there with the alcohol consumption and sale, as well as the unlicensed vending, and I hear you, and we're summoning everybody that we see.
Okay, so you are focused and you're putting personnel on the problem.
With personnel on
Thank
the boardwalk, yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes,
Two left.
yes, ma'am.
Two left. Thank you.
Parks.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Magwood. Hello, Mayor. Mark.
Did we put up one?
My question is in reference to Build It Back.
No bicycles.
I've been a victim of Build It Back
Yes.
since July 2013 when it began. And now this year, July 2017, they finally began to work on my home. I'm curious as to know whether it's going to move along, how long is it going to take, and is there anything to be done to stop all the holdups that they have to have?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Let me, hold on, brother. Hold on. I appreciate your energy. When I came into office, I was shocked by the problems. We tried to fix them. The initial fixes didn't go far enough. We then fixed it again, and finally the numbers are moving. So it's ridiculous how long some people waited, and I apologize because it never should have been that way. And I've said publicly, if God forbid we ever had a crisis like this again, we would never do Build It Back.
Which
We
I'm a
would.
nervous wreck that we might.
And that
before
is
I
a
get
threat.
finished.
But I'm saying we would never do something like Build It Back again. We would do a whole different approach in the future. But the good news is, and I want to thank everyone who's been a part of fixing it, that now we have very specific situations about the outstanding houses. So is everything under control now? Go.
The Brooklyn homes, we're looking to wrap up the Brooklyn homes towards the end of the year.
They just started.
We are looking, what is your name?
My name is Ruth Magwood. They just started last month.
Wait.
I just want to know that it's going to move along.
It's going to
so I
move,
can
Ms.
get back,
Magwood.
because I'm in debt for $10,000 already.
Your job started last week. We're going to continue. We are going to, these are the most complex houses. That's why it took this long to start. But we want to start, I mean, we're about, in Brooklyn, so everybody understands, we are about 33 houses. And I'm planning on starting those 33 houses within the next month or so, and finishing about 98%, including your home, by the end of the year.
There'll be no more major holdups? It seems every time they make a little progress, something else
No,
comes.
I will personally, I am, on a daily basis, my life is Build It Back to make sure that you guys
True
come back.
statement.
Okay?
He's on it personally, and he will follow up with you also. You should exchange
Yes.
information. Thank you.
Very
Last
good.
call.
Thank you. All right, last
call.
question. This young lady was patient.
Hi, my name is Norina Andreasova. I'm from the 6th Precinct. I'm a volunteer. My question is, what are you trying to do to improve the food in schools? Because there are times when all you can eat is 6 mozzarella sticks and French fries, and we're going to be there for 8 hours. So, you know.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, first of all, for volunteering. Let's give her a round of applause for all she does. And so I appreciate this question deeply because the city councils had a big concern about why a lot of young people were not eating the food in schools. And there were different questions. Was it about how much money, whatever? It turned out the reason a lot of young people are not eating the food in schools is they didn't like the food. So we actually, with the city council, passed a new funding package and a new plan to improve the quality of food, to get the young people involved in selecting the food, and I think going to the root of the problem, making sure it's food that they actually want to eat. So you'll see that starting in September. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, folks.